Game 2, Chrono Clash Semifinals. Game number 1 of the first best of 9 on the left side. Playing the Traveler 59, this is Rex. And on the right side of the map, Toxicity, this is BikeRushOwnz. Finally playing Nod.
Yeah, I mean, for the longest time, as June Tiger pointed out, I was pronouncing this map incorrectly as Toxic City, and I never bothered to reread it and always pronounced it incorrectly. But yeah, Toxicity is the opening map, and not going to see anything particularly fancy. Both players secure both their spikes, and only just minor scouting losses so far. Looks like Bike Rush is going to go into another ref, so probably no rushing for either side either.
This is a map that has a quite literally toxic looking city on it, so I also kind of read it as Toxic City. In my mind, it is kind of that map name as well. So I have whatever it is that caused you to misread it. I have the exact same thing, and there is legitimately a Toxic City on this map, so it all fits together. BikeRushOwnz playing Nod all throughout this tournament. We've seen him play a bunch of different factions, a bunch of different matchups, and he hasn't played very much just straight up Nod, but here we have it today versus Traveler 59.
Yeah, I guess he didn't want to fight into like a screen mirror. I don't think he really enjoys a screen mirror fight. And yeah, just going back to the map design, this is one of those maps which does something really well. It blends an urban environment with like a wasteland slash badland open area environment really well. Like, it just fits together and it looks like very well crafted and it's balanced. Like, I really like this map. Everyone else seems to really like it as well. I haven't actually checked who made it, but they did a really good job.
This is one of those cases where I, as a tournament organizer, as a caster more than a player, I sometimes like to choose weird maps that are a little bit different, that the players don't particularly like as much, because it forces them to be a little bit different. And this is one of those maps that I love and players seem to love. So I'm completely aligned with you on that. We do have a refinery at the natural expansion for Rex. He is following it up with a portal in the middle of his base, and that always makes me concerned when someone is playing Traveler 59 that they're about to do something sneaky with infantry.
Yeah, you're always going to be on the lookout for the stasis drop and when those fast legs are going to kick in, because I mean, as Traveler 59, it's just a matter of time before that type of play comes out. And we can see that the stasis chamber is on the expansion, fast legs are on the way. It'd be interesting to see if he goes shocks or if he goes for cultists or if it's just disintegrators. I mean, there are a lot of options for Traveler Tier 2 coming down right now. Bike Rush just keeping the scouting paths open as well, like that militant squad comes in. As long as he can see what Rex is doing, he's going to be very comfortable.
And he did spot that stasis chamber just barely sort of on the edge of vision of, I think, an earlier buggy scout that came in. So he got all of the intel that he needs. We do have a couple of seeker tanks moving forward. Buggy's getting caught on the wrong side of the terrain. One of the things that we've seen happen on this map in particular that Green Zero alluded to is we have this big open area out in the wastelands, and then the city down in the south has a lot more terrain breakup. So if you're not careful with your units in the city, they will path the wrong way. They will get caught on some building or some outcropping, and then they will get on the wrong side of the fight and they will be destroyed. And we've seen that happen in a couple of cases already on this map. This big open area, it's a lot harder for that to happen. There are still a couple of pieces of debris and rock that can happen on, and we have got a classic combo that we've seen in this tournament many times. A bunch of shock troopers and some seeker tanks. Shadow teams are here to knock back those shock troopers, and I guess Rex decides it was a mistake.
Yeah, I don't know what people are doing with these shadow teams in the front line. They must be difficult because I'm pretty sure you can't attack move them because they'll only attack upon command. I'm not 100% sure on that if the profiling or the targeting has been changed, but it's a really weird strategy, right? Like, I've never seen this ever before in the history of the game where people are using shadows as a frontline attacking force in numbers. Rex just trying to scoot away with some blue tip, almost got a full tank. I'm assuming he's going to try to cover for that harvester. His army's moving to the top though. Harvester will get away nonetheless.
Okay, so Bike Rush's army moves in for the attack in the south. Rex's army moves in for the attack in the north. There's a tier 3 on the front line. Talk about weird things to be on the front line. Tier 3 gets bombed out by the shadow teams. At the same time, on the other side of the map, Rex is tearing apart these harvesters. Shadow teams aren't enough because they're in the wrong spot as the shock troopers burst down those harvesters one after another, and the map is completely split. Both players have just committed into this cross-map scenario where it is pure chaos. Disintegrators get absolutely evaporated on the left side of the map, and harvesters are running rings around these seeker tanks as the scorpion tanks come back in to defend. Shredder turrets are here to try and cut down the shock troopers, and militants are pouring out of the barracks one after the other to try and save this base. BikeRushOwnz is doing more damage on the left side of the map. The buggies having taken the place of the fallen shadow teams are bursting down those disintegrators. The scorpion tanks trying to find as much damage as they can, but it's going to be photon cannons holding them off. It is mass damage and mass problems on both sides of the map. The damage is insane. The harvester count has dwindled to 4 for each player as seeker tanks continue to tear through Bike Rush's base. Bike Rush has mostly been pushed out of the Rex side of the map. There's a few seeker tanks and a few shock troopers left over. One gunwalker getting gunned down by random militant squads, and another harvester, another scorpion tank taking a couple of shots here. Harvesters getting repairs by the war factory, and it looks like Rex is going to be forced back. That was an absolute mess. I can't even make head or tails over who's ahead and what happened in that fight.
Yeah, that was an insane base trade. Both players found their armies on the opposite side of the map, so they just went for it, and it looked really bad for Rex, but then all of a sudden, Rex was just destroying everything in Bike Rush's base. I think Bike Rush actually took more economic loss there, and Rex still has some forces left over, I guess Bike Rush as well. Rex got a little bit of blue tip, but like you said before, that tech center placement was horrifically bad, like right on the front line. He was just begging for that to be sniped. But yeah, that was a crazy trade that both of those guys have, and yeah, I'm not actually sure who's come out ahead.
Pure chaos, but there's one player who has made his name off of thriving in chaos, whether it's War Factory all-ins 10 years ago or switching things up to place factions and strategies people don't expect. It's BikeRushOwnz who thrives in chaos, and here he's moving in. He's got 14k of army, and it's pretty much all buggy scorpion, a classic scrin killing force. How do you kill a scrin? Buggy Scorpion is the name of the game, and BikeRushOwnz gets a win in game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, Rex went back for a tier 3 after that, which was just a big mistake, because he must have known that Bike Rush was going to continue to push the attack there, especially after that huge trade. Look at the resource graph. Like, Bike Rush had to pull every single harvester, and he just completely flatlined. Yeah, if Rex had not re-teched again, he could have had a bunch more defensive structures out, or shocks or something, and he could have held that push there, and then I think he would have been in a better position.
Absolute massive divergence there that you just called out on the resource graph. Just like basically becomes a flat line for BikeRushOwnz for the last quarter of the game. And yep, well, that's game number 1.
Yeah, about what, 16,000 in favor of Rex there. So yeah, I think the first tech center placement, going back to that, was just horrendously bad, and then trying to retech behind it, I'm like, man, come on, it's a massive trade. You know, you just wiped out 90% of Bike Rush's harvesters. You don't have to go for a tech when you know he's still got fighting force on the map. Just go for units, and I think the traveler units, microed better, would just destroy the remaining Scorp tanks. I don't even think he had dozer blades, which means he can't actually even crush things like disintegrators.
It was a tough couple of moments there, and in those slight moments, it's easy to make the wrong call, and unfortunately for Rex, he made the wrong call. A desperately close game for a lot of that, and the chaos in the middle was just, I mean, it was kind of fun to watch, but it was, I can't imagine the like sweaty hands that you get from playing that out. That was just a mess of an engagement, and I feel like that kind of stuff can sometimes happen 15, 16 minutes into the game, but to happen at like this 6-minute mark before there's really even been a big engagement, and the first big fight is this, as you referred to it, a base trade, which is what I thought we were going to end up in, is just like a game-ending base trade. But like the fact that that happened 5-6 minutes into the game is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something you see very often, but what an explosive game, number one. And if the rest of the games are going to be like that, it's going to be a pretty exciting series. I must say that was a really entertaining game to watch with the way that all turned out. But yeah, you can just see at the end of the day, BikeRush just responded that little bit better and made some better decisions on the back end, which allowed him to just win right then and there. Rex had his opportunity, but yeah, BikeRush comes out ahead as usual.
And that's one of those things where it could be that the entire series continues that way, where the games are very entertaining, where BikeRushOwnz ends up winning them, and the matches themselves are much closer than the scoreline ends up dictating, which is, you could call it the curse of BikeRush, but sometimes, I know when I post videos and stuff, some players, some viewers don't enjoy watching BikeRush because they say, oh, he just wins every game, and it's like, he does win a lot, but like, are you not entertained? That was a crazy game. So even though BikeRush won, that was still incredibly entertaining. And I keep referencing it, but like your series with BikeRush yesterday was incredibly entertaining. The games, even some of the ones that you lost, were super close and super competitive. And so it is sometimes the shame of BikeRush that people write him off or write off people who play against him, and they miss out on those epic moments and those epic games.
It can be disappointing when, yeah, people fall a bit flat in series. Like some of those 4-0s we saw yesterday, they were just flat games, right? At least if someone does go down 4-0 and it's like super explosive, super exciting, it's great to watch. But yeah, so far I'm impressed with Rex's game one, and I think he's going to continue to get better in the series.
Well, let's hope that it starts here on Tournament. Highlands, Rex's map choice. As Green Zero alluded to, both players had agreed to play on Toxicity as map number 1. But from here, it is loser picks for the rest of the series. On the left side, as the Zocom playing red, this is BikeRushOwnz. And on the right side, as the purple Traveler, it's Rex.
Yeah, Rex will be looking to come out swinging in this game again, I reckon. I think it's a pretty good map for Traveler, also a pretty good map. Actually, sorry, he's not Nod, he's Zocom. Wasn't even paying attention. Okay, BikeRush is Zocom, which is an unusual pick for this map, considering that we do have a contested third field Sybert, and that means without any artillery, he might find himself in a late game death situation where he doesn't have the artillery he needs to crack a middle base.
You said something many years ago that I always think of when I see Zocom games, and it is Zocom aircraft are their artillery. And that's a very insightful way to highlight the fact that some of these sub-factions have to be played differently than the core factions. So in this case, if we do get to that late game scenario, we are going to be looking for BikeRush to have a creative solution, either aircraft as you alluded to, or something else to be able to be that artillery for him. So it's one of those problems that you have to solve if you're choosing Zocom, and I mean, if he wins here, then that's going to be a great, like, nerves reset, and a great confidence booster. Not that BikeRush needs more confidence.
Yeah, no, I mean, if BikeRush wins as Zocom, I mean, the thing about Zocom, people think, oh, you know, historically they were a very weak faction. They're not really weak and haven't been weak for the last couple of years. I think just the lack of juggernauts, people just write them off really quickly. But yeah, going back to what you said before and what I've always said over the years is that, yeah, the aircraft is their artillery. With ceramic armor, it's so difficult to stop their Firehawks. If the Firehawks, you know, bombing things on the fringe of the peripheral of bases where the AA can't quite cover. But still, if it is a base push, it is going to be tricky to use Firehawks here. Maybe have to go Hammerheads instead. But you got to remember, Zocom does have the most powerful epic unit in the game, and with Tib Field Suit's infantry to back something like that up, he might just be able to go straight through the front door.
Something else that we've talked about all throughout this event is playing your strongest faction. We've seen a couple of players curiously decide not to play their strongest faction in some of these matches earlier. Rex, he's a very strong screen player. When he plays other factions, he doesn't look as good. So game 1, game 2, so far in this series, in this event, the matches we saw yesterday, he is opting for his strongest faction. He is putting his best foot forward.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like I said yesterday, I like it when people play in tournaments their primary faction most of the time, like, 70, 80, maybe even 90% of the time, but they still throw in that, that secondary faction as another option. But yeah, I just think it results in them just getting further and further through a tournament. And yeah, like we discussed with Masterleaf yesterday, like just no screen out of him it's just strange. Yeah, I really like Rex's consistency here. I'm sure he'll throw in some other factions at some point, but mainly sticking with his strongest faction, it's just a smart decision.
All right, behind all of this, BikeRushOwnz has gone for aircraft, and one of the fun facts is that Rex hasn't exactly scouted the airfield, but he spotted a rifleman loading into an Ox transport as a scout. So by that, Rex now knows that BikeRushOwnz went one refinery on the natural into his command post into that airfield. You called it airfield. Air in general, that ceramic armor upgrade, extremely powerful for Zocom, and BikeRush agrees he's gone for it early.
Yeah, he hasn't done the build very well though, because his Texan has been up for about 10-15 seconds, hasn't even started a Firehawk because he hasn't finished Stratofighter, only just finishing it then. This better be a second airfield, it is, so his fighters are going to be a little bit delayed. Normally I would already have the fighters out or building by the time the tech center comes down, but I mean, he does have a few more units out. But Rex, look at this, he's got a foundry behind it. He's going for some what do you call it, Storm Riders, which might be a bit weird against Firehawks, but it's there because the Firehawks can't hold their missiles and bombs simultaneously. And you can just tell he's going to put a storm column down. He's backed it up against the corner of the map, which is fantastic. It's going to be really difficult to bomb that. Oh, that might be a little bit too close. He might be able to splash those down. He's going to have to be careful about that building placement, Sybert.
I love that placement that you called out, because yeah, he is trying to use the physical limitations of the map, the very restraints of the game itself, to create some of the advantage here and to create a little bit of a corridor that these Firehawks have to get forced into. So if BikeRush is able to bomb those buildings out, it is going to be costly for him. We do have what I assume is a distractionary force. It's APCs and a couple of Predator tanks heading in to the north. That's actually going to be the Firehawk Stratofightering in. They're not going for the tech at all. They're going for a refinery and a war factory at the main base. That is not what I expected for that first bombing run.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to slow Rex down doing this by knocking out some of his production. You find that screen players will just tank, $5,000-$10,000 in the bank because their production gets taken out. You got to be careful though, because eventually that's going to come back and bite you hard once they do put that into an army. But so far he's going for double airfield Firehawk, so this is really heavy into the Hawks. And I would like to see Rex. I'm not sure if he's got shard launchers just yet, but he definitely needs it, and he needs to start putting down plasma missile turrets, because otherwise he's just going to get bombed out of the game.
All right, Firehawks come in. They're going for the bomb. They don't split because the Eradicator Hexpod is already out, but they do get the tier 3. At least one Firehawk goes down, and only one, even with the Storm Column placement. As you called out, he doesn't have plasma missile batteries to knock down those Firehawks. The rest of the Firehawks are going to be trading versus the Storm Riders, and the Storm Riders all go down. Rex has already moved to the middle of the map. He's got 2 refineries there ready to go, and so far in this game, BikeRushOwnz has actually been leading in the economy. Total resources gathered is ahead, but Rex is about to catch up in that count. One tripod in the north, going to be getting surrounded by these Zone Raiders. There's a swarm support power getting called in, and behind all of this, BikeRushOwnz is kind of stealing the blue Tiberium, but he also had 4 harvesters just sitting around doing nothing. Some bizarre choices, and all of the Zone Raiders get blasted. Those Gunwalkers absolutely destroy them, and that tripod never actually went down. It's got 1% HP, and it's coming back in for the kill. Rex turns that entire fight around, and he may get bombed out on the other side of the map, losing his nerve center, but he won the army fight.
Yeah, I mean, he can actually EMP the Marv if he gets that tripod in range. He's not going to have a Mastermind to move in, sorry, a Prodigy to move in, but I mean, the Marv is going to have to back off because the Hex is out. It's here. It's got no hard points, which it needs. But yeah, like you said, Rex has got triple ref, and look at that. He's targeting the Warp Sphere again. I think Rex is just going to have to go for infantry here because he's not going to be able to get his War Factory units out with so many Hawks, and again, still not putting up any plasma missile turrets. I mean, there's one there now. He needs to put up more than that. But I like the infantry transition out. He's going to have to get advanced articulators. He's going to have to hold out one more bike rush push. And bike rush, you know, he's going to run out of Tiberium soon. So as long as Rex can hold this position, he's actually going to be looking pretty good, I think, Sybert.
Both players have opted for double barracks on the front line as their production. Orca Strike comes in. It actually tags 2 tripods. It nearly kills both of them, and now the Eradicator is locked down, EMP'd out in the open with no support. He's way too far forward. He thought he was safe, and he GG's out. He didn't respect Bike Rush for 1 single second, and nothing else mattered. Bike gets the win.
Yeah, man, that wasn't even a real fight, was it? Bike just sort of just moved in and just won the game. Like, I mean, Rex barely even fired a shot. Losing the tripods to the Orca Strike, that was really silly. Like, they had to sit there for quite some time for that to happen. And obviously no tech center, so no phase field for the Hexapod. Hexapod turns around, shows the rear armor, and it's just like, yeah, it wasn't a fight. It was a slaughter at the end. And I think, yeah, Rex should have just, he should have put down again more plasma missile batteries, gone for just mass imp spam, like cults to synths, and he would have been fine. But yeah, he probably died with a lot of money in the bank.
Here in game number 3 on Tournament Odyssey, Bike Rush gets away with everything because once again, even though Rex has chosen Traveler 59 every game, he has not Descent Rushed, and this is a map where it can work out. Always the fallback if your Descent Rush doesn't get the damage done that you want is to knock down one of your opponent's spikes, and we see that fairly often where one of the 2 spikes will go down inside of the first 5 minutes. But as you referenced there, Rex has not gone for a Disintegrator Rush yet again, and BikeRushOwnz has opted for the single scout into Harvesters, and he's looking good.
Yeah, he didn't even go for the Raider Buggy this time, so even more confident than last time. Actually, the Raider Buggy is there a little bit delayed, or quite a lot delayed, but what you were saying about the spikes, yeah, it's really hard when Disintegrators to get into the pocket spike there where they can go down that ramp, because it's really difficult to shoot at them without getting to the top of the ramp, and then the risk of being jumped by the Disintegrators is very high, so it just becomes a very awkward engagement if Scrin do get their Disintegrators to that point.
Rex, he's going to have to change things up if he wants to get a win versus BikeRushOwnz. For now, they have both confirmed that the other one is not doing anything too insidious. Rex, he is not Descent Rushing. Bike is not doing anything with Flames or a double War Factory, at least before his second refinery. There's no MCV cell all in yet from BikeRushOwnz, and there's the 3rd refinery. We have gotten to the natural expansion for both players.
Yeah, Rex really pushing the eco quite hard. I mean, he's actually a little bit ahead on Bike Rush. There's 3 harvesters at the expo already, and Bike Rush's 3rd harvest only just prodding along. He was a few seconds slower on his refinery as well, so again, the Scrin ability to refine Tiberium just being more efficient is starting to show in this particular game.
All right, and there's going to be the stasis chamber deployed for Rex. It is at the natural expansion, so it's not exposed by any means, certainly not like the tier 3 on toxicity, but that is a place where bikes and buggies will sometimes swing through. We do know that Bike Rush has opted for buggy Scorpion, so he doesn't have that early fast-moving army. He is a little bit slower, but this is one of those standard unit compositions that NOD players love versus Scrin. It is versatile. It does give you so much power to deal with almost anything that the early or mid-game Scrin is doing.
Yeah, I mean, so far, this game is almost exactly the same as the previous one, right? And we're even going to have another good engagement from Rex. Not as good as the first game, of course, but still, it's the same Seeker type of grouping. It's the same taking of the tower with the Disintegrators on the right-hand side. We're not going to see that fight materialize any further than a couple of Raider Buggies being destroyed. But yeah, it's basically the exact same builds we saw before, but of course, this time Bike Rush hasn't taken the critical damage just yet.
Secret Shrine is up and running on the other side, which is good because we've seen Shadow Teams be the answer to Shock Troopers all throughout this tournament, all throughout the month. And, well, that defensive tower can be dangerous, but one thing that would help Rex out a lot is this expansion point, which he has opted to capture. And I think BikeRushOwnz may also be No, he doesn't have an engineer on the way. So Rex has that third expansion. He doesn't have to move his MCV to get it.
Yeah, I would like to see Rex take the EMP spike as well, especially when he's got this map control and he's got the faster simulators. He can very easily get that, and a surprise EMP is a real game-winning ability because a lot of the time people don't realize it's been captured. Some disintegrators on the right trying to run to that pocket spike like we were discussing before. But yeah, it's the same type of unit compositions as before. But again, no large attack has materialized just yet.
The disintegrators won't get the tib spike on the right, and we have... Oh my, is this just like Groundhog Day? Is this just the same thing happening again? Everything is exactly the same. The connection starts tripping out at the same point in the game. The unit comps are the same on both sides. There's this big attack. Now, the follow-up behind this is Rex already has his third base started. That's 1 refinery, 2 harvesters on the high ground.
Yeah, that's very nice because like BikeRush, he doesn't have the expansion point, he doesn't have an emissary, he hasn't even started moving the MCV, so economically he's not in that great a position. I'm assuming he's going for lasers with that tech center, and all the Raider buggies, by the way, are all being shut down. If you look at the vision, BikeRush has absolutely no vision, and he's going to finally get a scout off on the third, but still Rex has done a good job of keeping him in the dark, and that's led to BikeRush not actually moving out to pressure him at all.
One of the interesting things that BikeRush did is he has slimmed down about as much as he can. He sold off his operations center after he got his tier 3 up and after he got the Dozer Blade upgrade. And he is now rocking this triple War Factory plus a Hand of Nod, all before his third base. He's about to run out of Tiberium, and so that may be a problem for him in the coming moments, but it hasn't happened yet. Rex starting this engagement off. This is a gigantic wall of units for both sides. Shock troopers blinking forward. Okay, now they're heading out. Rex is not sure if he wants to take this engagement, and Bike now has lasers, so he's ready to fight.
Yeah, this is basically an all-in because he just sold his tier 3, and even before he sold his MCV. So yeah, he's basically sold himself down to tier 1, just gone all in with lasers because he knows the third base has been taken. But Rex didn't actually go for a second ref, so he's not fully committed on the eco, which means Rex has a chance to defend this attack out now. He's got a lot of shock troopers. That storm column's going to go down pretty quickly, but the rest of Rex's army is coming along. It is starting to flank. We're going to have to see how well this is going to do. The tower, the defensive tower is there as well. Shards just completes, and oh my god, all the shadow teams are getting completely destroyed. I'm not sure if he can get all of these shock troopers, Sybert. He's got Dozer Blades, but he's yet to crush a majority of those forces.
BikeRushOwnz rolling over with his tanks. Everything else gets destroyed by the sprint. There's the area mind control. Only grabs 2 of the tanks, and there's no shadow teams. Hardly any buggies left to try and chase down this prodigy. They will close the distance, and they are diving for it. They get it before the Eradicator. Hexapod emerges. The phase gets used, and the Gunwalkers are all that's left. The GG comes out. The start of the fight looked like BikeRush had his forces intercepted. It looked like Rex had divided and conquered, but those shock troopers never got the uptime that they needed. They never fired as many shots. They weren't able to snipe those tanks after tanks, and in the end, BikeRush's slimming down and commitment to selling everything off ends up winning him the game.
Yeah, it's a big concern when you look at Scorpion tanks these days because they have had a buff to their armor. You can just rush straight to lasers and then sell all the way back down to tier 1, and you just have so much money and you have such powerful units. And yeah, teleporting your shock troopers directly into the center of that fight was a big mistake because again, BikeRush eventually got those crushes off, and if Rex had just fought at range and then moved back and fought and moved back and fought, I think he could have whittled down those forces to the point where he could have held that. At least for the hexapod was only like 2 seconds from coming out, so he would have had the hex for defending. He screwed up the phase field as well. He phased a dead tripod. He could have phased the hex. So yeah, it was so close, and I think it was just Rex just sort of panicked at the end there, and he didn't do the engagement well at all.
Welcome to the top of the mountain. Welcome to the mining town that has been the downfall of the player in the north. He's once again playing red, once again playing black hand. It hasn't worked out for him in the past, but maybe he can rewrite history today. This is BikeRushOwnz. And in the south, he's out of time, he's out of chances, he's out of hope. fighting for his life, his tournament life, his series life, his chance at the championship. This is Rex!
Yeah, this is one of those maps where I really would have liked to have seen that Disintegrator open Sybert, because again, he's got that enemy spike, which is very vulnerable. He could have even just sent his own assimilator up there, overwhelmed Bike scouts, and captured it. Although Bike, he has switched to Black Can, hasn't he? He's not actually Nod Vanilla, so I guess maybe Rex wants to be a bit more cautious. He is down, what's it now, 3-0 in the series, so yeah, it's he needs to win here, otherwise it's going to become an unsalvageable situation.
This is a best of 9, so it is 5 games to win. I have been casting so many best of 7s that I was thinking that this is Rex's last chance, but as you say, it is very difficult to come back 5-0 after dropping the first 4 games of the series. Now, BikeRush's vision, I did want to just highlight this. It's something we were talking about in the pregame, and Rex throwing out the question mark. I'm not sure what that was about. But BikeRush's vision sees almost all of this center green Tiberium field that Rex might be hopping his MCV to. And so BikeRushOwnz can miss the scout on that MCV move, but that's why he has these other scouts coming in to confirm it. And he sees Rex's MCV is actually heading to the natural expansion, so no ridge hopping for Rex.
Yeah, Rex obviously worried about some type of maybe flame rush, because he went for a really fast Seeker tank, which has been sitting in BikeRush's base, trying to pick at a harvester, but the repair drone's just counteracting it, and the Seeker's not going to be able to escape now, not able to pick off the bike either, but I mean, at least he knows he's not getting rushed, and BikeRush looks like he's just going to do a standard eco build. Going to be interesting to see if it's going to be a War Factory first on this expand. Oh, it's an Operations Center first. This could get a bit tricky, Sybert.
We've talked about it a lot of times throughout the event, but these Nod players will sometimes do this. They move their MCV over, like they're expanding, and then they just don't. And Rex, he is down 0-3. It would feel terrible to go down 0-4 after you thought you scouted no rush, after you think that you're safe, to then have a bunch of flame tanks burn down your base.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a flame tank coming out right now. There it is, one flame tank on the field for BikeRush. Oh, double War Factory. He's going for a Reckoner, and then he's queued up more flame tanks. Is he going double War Factory flame tank side? But this is going to be quite interesting. I mean, the Disintegrators are out, there's Seeker tanks out. I think Rex needs to get Cultists down. Oh, there's the Stasis. If he goes for a Nerve Center next, which, let's have a look and see. He's going for a Nerve Center now, so he needs to get these Cultists out quick smart, because the flame tanks, they're on their way, Sybert.
And there's something that's not on its way, an expansion or anything that the MCV would build, because it's an MCV cell here at the 3-minute 45-second mark. BikeRushOwnz has delayed this attack into a point, into a time where he thinks Rex won't be expecting it. The Reckoner is starting to break into the natural expansion, but that's kind of a distraction, because in the main base is a double flame tank, so it's flames everywhere you look. There's nothing that's not going to be burned down. As the Gunwalkers and the Disintegrators respond to the threat in the main base, they're not fast enough to knock down everything. And as you respond to one thing, something else burns down. It's a GG. It's an all-in flame rush, and it's BikeRush going up 4-0, burning Rex to the ground.
Yeah, what a complete steamroll that was. I mean, Rex had no idea that was coming until it appeared at the fringe of his base, and, you know, you're already dead at that point. It doesn't matter. I mean, he could have built Cultists, but he went for the tier 2 and the tier 1.5 and he had a portal, and he queued nothing. Like, he was just ecoing more. And I'm like, oh no, this is going to be a disaster for him. And yeah, he couldn't even put up a defense. He just immediately died to all the flame tanks. And when the portal went down, there's just no chance to get anything out at that point. So that's going to be really disappointing for Rex.
A very difficult loss there in game number 4. It all comes down to the comeback beginning in game number 5. A tough place to be. We've talked about it a lot in this. It is a best of 9, but I don't know that anybody, Rex included, believes that he can come back in this. And you have to believe in yourself in a situation like this, but BikeRushOwnz has been dominating in this event, and this series is not changing that.
He just looks so comfortable, like he's doing whatever strategy he wants and making it work. And the variety coming out of BikeRush as well is just really killing Rex. Like the last 2 games being all-ins, but not like, you know, classic all-ins. He's actually gone either 2-base all-in, or he's gone for like a fake expansion delayed tier 2 all-in, like just stuff like that. These types of strategies, this is what wins you games in tournaments. And since he's already ahead, he's still piling on the pressure with them. And yeah, Rex just unable to cope. Rex wants to play that standard eco game, and it's just not working out. He needs, like, his scouting was so good in the other games, but yeah, this is the one game where he didn't have that great scouts. And yeah, that was just the end of Rex.
There is a phrase which is offense wins games, defense wins championships. And in this case, Rex's defense is just not good enough. You mentioned some of the things he could have done differently to win in that game, but as you say, he needed to scout it out. And BikeRushOwnz going for these tricky builds, going for things that look like one thing and then they look like another, and then they actually turn out to be something else, is so difficult to deal with. And it also can get in your head where you go like, oh, I've scouted him at 1 minute, but I also have to scout him at 90 seconds, at 2 minutes, at 2.5 minutes, at 3 minutes, at 3.5 minutes, at 4 minutes, at 4.5 minutes, at 5 minutes, because you can never trust that what you just saw 30 seconds ago is what he is going to do in the next 30 seconds. And we've seen big macro games, and now we see this tricky rush game, and I don't even know what Rex could possibly expect. He has chosen Atacama Road as map number 5, and this is a good 2-base map. It can be a good map to kind of lock things down on 2 bases, and that can be where Scrin is strong. But yeah, the scouting is going to have to be basically perfect from Rex.
It's a tricky scouting window, that one there, because like you were saying before, he scouts the MCME moving to the expansion and he just sees harvesters. It looks like an eco build, right? It looks like a stock eco build. And then the next time you scout is not for another, 45 seconds to 60 seconds, because you're expecting a ref and a war factory or something like that. And so it leaves this blank gap where you're like, I don't have to scout because I know exactly what's going on. I can scout in a minute's time. But of course, fast forward that minute and all of a sudden there's an army heading at you. So
you keep thinking that you know what's going to happen, and BikeRushOwnz keeps them guessing. Every time you think he's going left, he ends up going right. And even when you think, I think he's going left, so he's really going right, I'll go right, it turns out that was the one time that he did go left. That was the one time that he did the first thing that you thought of, and it just ends up getting ready. We do, I think, still have some connection problems that we're trying to work out. Atacama Road, we've seen some epic games on this map, in particular with Blackhand. We've seen some just amazing pushes through the middle and some really entertaining things. But for Rex, this is time to focus up. This is time to, I don't even know what, but tighten everything up and not let anything through the cracks.
It's basically, like I was saying before, this is going to be way too big of an ask to 5 games in a row versus BikeRush. I mean, yeah, Rex had his opportunities in some of those other games, so the scoreline could have been a lot closer. But BikeRush, the BikeRush effect comes in and he takes those games anyway. I think from here it's about Rex trying to salvage some form of a series, at least trying to get on the board and put up that fight, but you never know. Obviously, he's not expected to come back, but hopefully we see a good game.
Now, rolling our minds back to the group stage, Rex came through in Group B as the first seed. He defeated Futurama 3-2. He defeated Dune Tiger 3-2 in the later rounds of the group stage to advance as the first seed into the event. But then he 4-0'd Tipsy. So we saw some very tight and contentious series that Rex barely won in the early parts of the tournament. And then we saw a complete domination. And the games versus Tipsy, the scoreline doesn't totally tell the story, but in the end, Rex was that 1 to 5% better than Tipsy in each of those games. And so he was able to win them. But now it's the flipping of the script. It's the complete opposite, and BikeRushOwnz is just dominating Rex, this player who we've seen both really good games from and total domination of his opponent. And now it's just flipped around, and he looks a little bit dizzy in some of these games, trying to make it happen, make it work, but coming up empty every single time. And of course, he's running out of options. But this is his last chance. This is where the comeback starts. This is where it all has to turn around. It is do or die here in the Highlands, here on Atacama Road. We're in the desert, and we're going to see it end, or we're going to see the start of the greatest comeback in Kane's Wrath history. And it all starts with this man in the north, hailing from Canada. This is Rex! And in the south, with total domination, he's looking to keep GOAT off the menu. No one's gonna roast him. This is BikeRushOwnz.
Yeah, Atacama Road. Haven't seen this map for a little while. I haven't played on it in the tournament, and it's a map that for me crops up every now and then, but it does usually have pretty good matches on it, and I think Rex is going to be it'd be decently comfortable on this map. I'm not really sure what BikeRush has got planned, but yeah, like you said before, we could be looking at some 2-base all-in action. We'll just have to wait and see.
Couple of tricky things to highlight on this map. It is a 2-spike map, and the spikes are reasonably close to where you start, but because of the terrain breakup of this map, anyone who has carryalls or aux transports can sometimes go for their opponent's spikes and get them quite easily. There's one spike that's kind of on the outside that is surrounded by some weird terrain, and that one in particular can be vulnerable to your opponent. We've seen Blackhand chosen by BikeRush here, and of course Flames love to burn down their opponent's tib spikes, so that's something that Rex has to worry about, is his tib spikes. And then the blue Tiberium is accessible from both sides, but it is this narrow strip in the middle of the map, and it is on the low ground. So we do also see players get trapped down there because it's not flat, because it is a little bit of a potential trap. You can find yourself going for blue Tiberium, and then the whole game flips on its head because you lose 2 harvesters there, and your opponent's army just runs across the map and kills you.
Yeah, it's a really weird blue tib field because you've got these 2 slices here on either side. Definitely makes things a bit interesting, but Rex sends out the early Seeker because, again, he was really worried about a rush, and he was shooting the MCV mainly from the front. If he shot it from behind, he probably could have taken it down to half health, which might have paid dividends later on in the game. But again, another map where he could have done a descent opening as well, like, and try to take out Bike spikes. It's not super hard to defend them, but descents should be able to at least kill 1, possibly 2. But yeah, really fast blue tib for Rex. Look at that, he's going to get the other side of the crystal as well.
There are 7 harvesters out for both players now, 8 for BikeRushOwnz, and he went for his 3rd refinery there at his natural expansion before anything else. So this is BikeRushOwnz following up a very tricky, aggressive game with a big eco game, kind of as standard as you could like. And, well, Rex is going to be confirming it now. He's got a buzzer moving into BikeRush's base, and he will, I guess, confirm that everything is normal.
Yeah, I mean, BikeRush, again, just continuing to shake it up with its strategies. Just doesn't want to repeat the same strategy twice, I guess, which, I mean, is a legitimate strategy, right? But it's still going to keep Rex guessing. Rex is going for some defensive units. Puts the stasis chamber. I guess it's not in a terrible position there. I really would like to see tech buildings placed in the back of the base. But nonetheless, he should be fine.
Fast legs are about to finish up. We have some scouting buggies on the right side of the map. They're trying to find this attack group that Rex sent out. Rex is now retreating back across the middle. We talked about this low ground, and he is using it to potentially hold up some units and hide there. Maybe he's hoping that BikeRush goes for a lazy, unscouted harvester, blindly walking into that low ground so that he can pounce on it, or maybe he's just waiting for the scouts to pass. Rex moves back up to the high ground, and yeah, maybe the best thing that he can hope for here is to smash that tib spike that's on the outside edge.
Yeah, we've got double flame tank coming out again from BikeRush with Fanatics. He's just doing another crazy build here, and I mean,
he sold his MCV.
Is he all in, is he? Oh my god, Sybert.
Game 5, and BikeRushOwnz puts it all on the line. And who is it? Oh, it's you on my screen.
My game just crashed.
Oh,
yeah.
Yep.
Float me out. Float me out before it freezes.
All right, there we go. We are back into it. So unfortunately, Green Zero will have to tap out for this, but you might not be missing very much. It's BikeRushOwnz crossing the map. He's got buggies, he's got scorpions, he's got fanatics, and there's flame tanks coming back after it. Shock troopers are here to defend, and it's going to be gunwalkers and seeker tanks knocking everything down. For now, there's a complete wall stopping everything of Bike Rush, and now the flame tanks roll to the front line. BikeRushOwnz commits everything into this attack, and for now, Rex is completely shutting it down. There's the slow field. The next step in his plan, these photon cannons are doing massive damage, and everything that Bike is doing is getting funneled through this one attack. He's got a counterattack on the other side of the map. Finally, the flame tanks make it through. There's the cultists here just in time. There's the mind control to save the stasis. He needs one more cultist. 2 more flame tanks roll up, and BikeRushOwnz isn't killing his own units. He's just focusing on knocking down Rex's base. There's the tripod to save the day. There's 1 dead flame tank. There's number 2. And BikeRushOwnz refuses to knock down his own flame. No more cultists come out. Both players tearing through each other's natural expansion as the tripod is facing off against the flame tanks, ranking up versus those flamey boys and going for the stomp. There's another stasis to try and rebuild those cultists, and everything is falling apart for Rex. He's got the cash, but he doesn't have the time. BikeRushOwnz 1 inch away from victory and 1 inch away from defeat. He retreats. He leaves the last flame tank in the base, and now he backs off.
You're killing me, Sybert. That sounds like an exciting fight.
BikeRushOwnz down to 5 harvesters that counterattack a few disintegrators and a few seeker tanks in the natural expansion of Bike. Absolutely critical to keeping Rex in this game. Rex has also killed one of the Tiberium spikes there on the right side of the map. He still has mind control of this double vet flame tank on the verge of going heroic, controlled by the Scrin and turned against the fanatics of Nod. BikeRushOwnz refusing to rebuild his MCV. He is sticking to his guns and keeping himself on course, splitting flame tanks into different directions. There's the nerve center in the stasis back up and running for Rex. He's got $1,500 in the tank, and he has so many harvesters that he doesn't know what to do with them. They're all piled up in a parking lot outside of his main base. The flame tanks on the left get spotted. Rex is managing to hold on to anything and everything, but there's now a husk on the ground. Rex has left 1 husk behind, a tripod that can be changed to the hands of Nod. Another tripod desperately low on health as BikeRushOwnz wants to knock it down. The flame tanks move into the main base and they burn down the refinery. All of the harvesters have to run for their lives, and there's no cultists here to mind control the extra flame tanks. There's 2 flame tanks left over, and they're going for this stasis. Rex so close to shutting this down, but he's just losing so much. The MCV gets sold, and it's all gone. It's all gone bad for Rex. Game 5 falls apart at the last second, and it's flame tanks to win it all. The Black Hand burn down Rex's chances in this tournament.
In the modern, containerized world, businesses face overwhelming challenges, sprawling systems, and exponentially increasing data. Observability chaos ensues. Complexity increases, costs skyrocket, developers waste time sifting through mountains of data that's not useful, and customers suffer from a poor experience. With Chronosphere, you are back in control. We help you quickly focus on the data that matters so your team can move from overwhelmed to empowered. The Chronosphere observability platform reduces data volumes and associated costs by 60% and cuts through the noise to uncover actionable insights that reduce incidents by up to 75%. Chronosphere telemetry pipeline collects data from any source, processes it in flight, and routes it to any destination. Maximize your efficiency with a solution that uses up to 20 times less resources than competitors. With Chronosphere, turn observability chaos into control. Eliminate unnecessary costs. improve data quality, and deliver faster insights for exceptional customer experiences. Join leaders like Robinhood and Zillow, who've already taken control of their observability. Learn more about Chronosphere at chronosphere.io.
Welcome to Semifinal B of Chrono Clash II, a fresh best of 9, kicking it off on Tournament Odyssey. In the north, playing the Zocom, this is the future yet to come. He is Futurama! And in the south, the young one who has yet to prove it all, here to knock the old guard down and take home the prize, it's Hoxaeb!
Yeah, interesting faction choice here. Zocom on this level here, I didn't see that coming from Futurama. He's historically been either a blackhand player or heavily favoring the Skrins, probably like 60-40 Skrin blackhand. But yeah, going with the Zocom pick in game 1. We'll have to see if he's got a special strategy in mind or if he's just comfortable enough to play a long series with this faction. Artillery Sybert not going to be that important on such a large open flat map. So yeah, we'll have to see what he's got in store for us.
The rifle squad on the left side, one single member of that squad finishes digging the foxhole and gets himself safe. So that is a double scout from Futurama. We have talked about so many times the trickiness of Nod and the trickiness of players like BikeRush and Hoxaeb. Scouting them once isn't enough. Scouting them twice isn't enough. You have to see what they're doing, because at any second, what you thought they were doing could change. The other thing that I do want to highlight is we've seen in this event this resurgence of Zocom, and in particular the mass APC AP ammo build be quite strong and quite prevalent for a number of players. So that's another thing to keep in mind with Zocom versus Nod, is sometimes players are going for a 6 to 8 minute mass APC punch that just seems to work.
Yeah, going back to what you said about the scouts, they can be annoying once they get the foxholes up and running as well, because then you just got to try to dig them out, right? You can't do that with base defenses alone. Also, if you do spot the Raider Buggy on the fringe of vision and you foxhole immediately, the Raider Buggy will never be able to kill the rifle in time. So yeah, usually when I see the Raider Buggy pop out of the fog, I just immediately start the foxhole, and you should be able to get that up every single time.
Wow, this is almost perfect timing there. The foxhole actually establishes, but the rifleman squad dies in one blast from that shredder turret. So there's just an empty foxhole that doesn't have any units to get inside of it. On the other side of the map, the scout was denied. It was a buggy scout killed by a pit bull. And Futurama, he's trying to keep eyes on Hoxaeb. He's got a scout at the main, got a scout at the natural, but he doesn't have that secondary scout. And now the Scorpion tanks have dislodged that rifleman, and there the shredder turret knocks it down. Engineers coming out for Futurama. He's going for the expansion point. He's going for the defensive tower.
I mean, that ref as well on the expansion was literally borderline Futurama's vision. So if he didn't see that, he might have been spooked, but he just managed to see that the ref was there, so he knew it was an eco build, and that's why Futurama's doing what he's doing. He's very comfortable right now. Yeah, grabbing that tower and yeah, going for the engineer onto the expansion point as well. Very popular, like you mentioned in some of those earlier games. I've yet to sort of do that much myself, but it looks like it's going to be, yeah, a lot of tier 1 coming out of Futurama.
The thing that Futurama doesn't quite see is the placement of that second war factory. I think his Pitbull did just spot it from the high ground there, but the initial scout of Futurama, because of how strangely Hoxaeb has placed his second war factory, it was not in vision initially. Now, we do have some scouts and reinforcements on the high ground. This is potentially like a two-pronged attack coming in from Futurama. Mass rockets, Preds, and rifles through the middle of the map, reinforcements on the high ground ready to join up with them, and Tib field suits just finished up. This timing is perfect from Futurama, and there's the scan to reveal it all. The fight will kick off, and that's a lot of Scorpion tanks. Futurama backs off straight away.
Yeah, I don't think he's planning to do much with this particular attack. He's just sort of probing, and Looks like the crush move is going to come in now. Probably going to be hard to crush some of those rockets getting behind the Predators, and you can't underestimate these Predators. Yeah, they're going to get surrounded, but they're still going to kill a lot of Scorps, and with rockets reinforcing, yeah, look at the Scorps, man. There's still 3 Predators there. He only lost 2 Predator tanks, and he's going to continue to push this attack.
It seems like Futurama turned that into a bait. There's an Orca as well. I didn't even see that coming, but that's a Zorka on the field. Mine Drop will come in. It traps 1 Predator tank. Another one takes a couple of shots there. The rest manage to escape that damage, and it's going to be a retreat from Futurama. Maybe he has done the damage he wanted, or maybe this was all a distraction to establish the 3rd base at that expansion point on the high ground.
Yeah, he didn't fully commit to the attack, and there's not a huge amount of forces here, so this is just to keep Nohaev busy, and he doesn't want to fight into like a shredder wall either. That's just bad. Like it's just hard to get all the shredders down quick enough. He's just going to keep him contained here, like you said. While that 3rd base, there's 2 ref up there already, Sybert, and yeah, he has to transfer to harvesters, but still both the ref are down, which frees him up to build as much tech as he wants. And yeah, he's actually now starting to cut a hole. Oh, big cloaking field. That does a lot of damage.
A big chunk of the infantry just disappeared to that 1 click, and the Zorkas are getting hunted down by these Venoms. APC will be able to start punching away at these Venoms, but the Orcas are supposed to be a part of this army. They're supposed to be helping to break down this Nod force, but they're just not. They're off in the middle of the map, running for their lives, while the Predator tanks are trying to dodge the beams from this obelisk. You can't dodge it all because the obelisk is too strong. And once again, Futurama backs off that attack. I do love that he also added a foxhole to the high ground. If Nohaev had sent an unattended engineer off to the right side to grab that expansion point, it would get knocked down. Samsite's going to be pushing away those Orcas. Predator tanks moving in for the engagement. Futurama is angled at the main base, but there's another obelisk here ready to go, and the Orcas come back in. They blast it down. That obelisk is gone.
Yeah, a lot of the base defenses now falling for Nohaev. He's still got a Venom Swarm here. Got to be a little bit careful with all those APCs around. But like you said before, Futurama's got eyes on the 3rd base. He knows there's no 3rd base, so he must be sitting there going, oh, I'm in such a comfortable position. Look at the macro he's built on the 3rd base. He's got more harvesters there now. He's refining. Economy is just not a problem for Futurama right now. He's got those Zorkas as well, very powerful. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to be going for a Marv very shortly. Tech is the one thing he's had to sacrifice to do this, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. And I would like to see him also take that EMP control center while he's got this map control. Oh, actually, no, sorry, I didn't see this. There's a second MCV side, but rolling into Nohaev's expansion.
And he laser fences it immediately. He knows that this is going to be a stronghold that he can attack Nohaev from. MCV now deploying on the low ground for Nohaev. He realizes with the Venoms that he's been beaten to his own 3rd. It feels like this is as close to a perfect game from Futurama as you can play. It's not over. He can still misstep, but it feels like every moment of the game he's been 1 or 2 steps ahead of Nohaev, and he is just utterly dominating him. Oh, the Vertigo's on the other side of the map. They get 1 harvester.
Yeah, almost lost a Vertigo bomber there, but only 1 harvester kill. Not really going to do really anything at this stage of the game, but I was mistaken a bit there. This is not a second MCV. This is actually his only MCV. Now going for the tech center. I think he's going to drop a Reclamator hub on the front line and Marvest Nohaev's field here. I don't think it's going to be too difficult for him to defend. It actually sells the War Factory on his own 3rd, puts the Pitbulls there. It's just going to be Pitbull defense against the Vertigos. And there's a timer here right now. Once the Reclamator hub comes down, if the Marv gets out, it's just going to Marvest the field. And that'll just, it won't matter if he pushes him off. He'll just win through sheer eco.
MCV gets tagged. Those are SOCOM Orcas ready to go, and they get all of the health but 10%. That's the end of the MCV, and now the laser fence is all that is keeping this Redeemer online. Good night to the Redeemer, and good night to Nohaev here in game number 1. He has to win this fight, crush Futurama, cross the map, and win the game. It is all or nothing. He just lost his 2 tickets to stay in this game. If he doesn't win in the next minute, he is gone.
Yeah, like I said before, this Reclamator hub is down. The Marv is about 40% the way done. He lost, like you said, his MCV and his Reclamator hub all in one go. I mean, this is basically it for him. He has to win with these forces he has here. And the fact of the matter is his Zone Raiders coming out now. The Marv will eventually get a Sonic emitter. It's just going from bad to worse. It's just not going to work. The splash damage is huge. The Zorkas are coming back. And, oh, that's just massive damage coming down. Those avatars, they are all dead.
The Venoms come in. It's too little, too late. The GG comes out, and Futurama wins game 1. Noayev may be the underdog, but he's got no chance in game number 1. Futurama is here to play, and he is not pulling any punches. That first 8-9 minutes just looked perfect from Futurama.
Yeah, this is what I was saying. He's playing against the juggernaut that is Futurama. These builds that Noayev has been doing against other people just aren't going to work versus someone like Futurama. I'm actually surprised that Nash fell for a lot of these as well. I just don't think what Noayev is doing is particularly powerful. It's worked against lesser players, but now he's managed to get through to the semis, which is obviously a huge achievement. But that game there, all Futurama did was just keep him busy with just paltry forces, and then just ended up taking the whole map and winning those big fights. And yeah, it was Noayev just was not proactive at all. He just sat there and took all the damage, and then realized way too late that he was in a terrible position.
Way too late, and sometimes in a game like this, you don't get many chances. Futurama doing an amazing job of just shutting everything down. The transitions were perfect. Every stage of the game, he looked like he was on another level. And I mean, I have to root for the underdog here, but like, that did not look close in any phase. Now, we can mix things up. Futurama might not be playing Zocom. We have a lot of maps in the pool that Noayev can try to throw things off on. If he's going to play Odyssey and Highlands and Tib Rift and a lot of these more standard maps that are commonly played, I don't know, we might just be looking at a repeat of game number 1 again and again and again.
Yeah, look, I don't think there's any reason for Futurama to move off Zocom, considering how amazingly well he did on that map. And again, this is like I was saying, a contested field map. We saw BikeRush make it work, although that was against the Scrin Force. And I think against Nod, yeah, Futurama's just so comfortable. He just doesn't care. He's going to stick with Zocom. He's going to keep that powerful Marv. He's going to keep the zone, the Tiberian Field Suits infantry, which are going to be helpful. And yeah, he really dominated that first game, Sybert.
I'm actually throwing my mind back a little bit to the very beginning of that game where he kind of scuffed those first couple of engagements. It looked like Noayev was able to do it, and you kind of highlighted the fact that as the Scorpions were going for the crush, the Predator tanks were just free-firing, so what looked like a scuffed engagement turned into quite a good one for Futurama, and then that snowball just kept rolling. And let's see if it rolls into game number 2 as well. Welcome to Tournament Highlands. We are kicking it off with another straightforward standard map. On the left side, playing Zocom, this is Futurama. On the right side, rocking the nod, it's Noayev.
Yeah, look, he's built a third engineer Noayev, and he's hiding in the back of his base. This could be a Reckoner opening of some sort, maybe burn down one spike, capture the other. But almost certainly there is some type of tricky play coming out. Whereas the engineer is hiding behind the power plant. That's actually a good place to put it, right? Because not that there's going to be a scout out this early, but still, it's just a tricky place to put it.
Yeah, it's, if you have health bars on, it does help reveal some of that stuff. But yeah, by default, that engineer was actually physically blocked by the default camera view of the game by that power plant. Shredder turret does deploy. There's going to be the war factor. It powers down, and now this engineer is having to run away from all of these scouts as they come into the base, and Noayev drops a second Shredder turret as well to deny those scouts. There's going to be the operations center. He's trying to hide it in the best spot that he can to keep the vision away from Futurama.
He just manages to hide it too. Futurama doesn't see it, but the concern I have is that Noayev had the War Factory powered down for almost 10 seconds, and that means there's no, like, it just slows everything down, right? Futurama will probably see this Reckoner quite early, especially since it's now just driving straight across his vision, but still, I think Futurama's going to be fine. He is expanding with his own MCV, but surely we're going to see, it's actually a Predator tank, so he's not going to go out and hunt it down with any pitbulls. He's just going to try to defend if it goes at his base with the Predator tanks.
Futurama is definitely expecting this to be headed towards his main, but as you predicted right from the beginning, it is burn one down, capture one. Okay, there's the engineer finally popping out, and Noaev has to decide where he wants to go. The Predator tank is going to meet the Reckoner in the bottom left-hand corner, so the engineer will get a free cap because the Reckoner is drawing all of the attention, and that is also a sabotage placed on that tib spike, so if Futurama tries to recapture it, it'll just blow up the spike.
Yeah, I like that. Not enough NOD players do this when they capture enemy spikes that are reasonably easy to recapture, but yeah, it just means that they spend another 500 bucks on an engineer to go out there and they end up just blowing their own unit up. I'm not sure why he moved the black can back. I guess he was worried about being crushed by the Predator tank. I guess he's just going to sit and wait until the Predator leaves and then maybe go burn that spike down later on, but Pitbulls are going to come in, they're going to see Bike Buggy as well, so Futurama just has a great read so far. He sees the second War Factory, pops it right there, so Futurama knows exactly what he's up against.
On the count, it is 7-5 Harvesters. Futurama with a comfortable lead, not only with the refinery at the natural expansion, but also with the 2 Harvester lead, and it's no big surprise considering how Noaev has opened this game. Of course, he has been down on Harvesters, so the question is always, can you get something done with them? Maybe he's able to steal the blue Tiberium, cover some of his Harvester deficit with that expensive blue Tiberium, but this also puts a lot of pressure on him to just do damage. We've got rockets at the natural expansion ready to go. Noaev is going to have to knock those down and knock down 1 or 2 Harvesters.
He is very good with this Bike Buggy though. Look at the buggies coming in. I've seen this in some of the replays I watched where the buggies tank everything while the bikes do the big damage, but unfortunately no field suits, which means the rockets will die pretty fast, but you got to remember the Zocom Harvesters also have rockets on them, and with the double tower here now, I think you should probably stop building those rocket squads just for the time being, but it's Noaev's still got a fair bit of units there. Here come the field suits. It's going to be way too late, but looks like Noaev is just going to back out, and no Harvest is dead, so it's a win for Futurama nonetheless.
The one thing that Noaev has been able to do is burn down a power plant in the main base. He didn't burn down the Tiberium spike, but he did burn down 1 power plant. Bike's going to be coming back in. They found the weakened Harvester from earlier. The first volley isn't enough to actually smash it down, but the second is. However, that does mean more bikes and buggies are going to be paying the price. More 2-3 bikes exploding in the last few seconds there.
Yeah, I mean, you got a Harvester, which is good. I mean, he's sort of caught up in Harvesters now, so he's not doing too badly, but still Futurama has the field suits up and running. Does he have a tier 2? No, he doesn't. So, I mean, everything said and done, it still feels like it's pretty even, Sybert.
Noaev on his way to the middle of the map. Futurama is also moving to the middle of the map, but with his army, not with his MCV. There's the tier 2 placed down. There was a very deliberate choice made by Futurama early on. I want the armory. As you referenced, he wants the field suits in particular first. He prioritized that above AP ammo, above upgraded power plants, above moving his MCV to the 3rd. Futurama sees the power of Zocom infantry in game number 1, and now again here in game number 2. He may not have railguns, but he's got TIB field suits.
Yeah, TIB field suits really make Raider Buggies pretty useless against taking out the infantry. Without field suits, like we saw before, he was able to destroy all the rocket squads reasonably easily, but with field suits, it just makes it so much harder to kill the infantry that, again, he's going to have to transition to something else, and that's a 3rd War Factory. Is it 3 War Factories? Dozer Blades done, and he's going for quad turrets. Not sure what Noaev's plan is here. That flame tank, though, oh my god, just straight down the middle of the map. There are Predator tanks all around it, so it might get in, but I'm assuming it's going to be destroyed.
And it just pauses. Noaev sent in some Bike Buggy on the north side, trying to catch a blue Tiberium Harvester that was transferring over there, and it just doesn't quite work. But this flame tank is also a bit dizzy, going nowhere and getting blown up by Predator tanks, waiting around 20-30 seconds to do nothing. And now Futurama pushing in with a small force on the right side of the map. He's going to be going for both Scorpion tanks and Harvesters. His forces got split up. They got caught by 2 different groups of army units from Noaev. It looks like he will find at least 1 Harvester here, but most of the Predator tanks get crushed, and Noaev is spread so far out on this map. He has tech structures slowly leading down to the middle of the map, and now up against the wall go these Predator tanks. They're going to get pummeled down into the dirt.
Yeah, those attacks by Futurama were never designed to retreat. They're always suicide attacks, but it was only a handful of forces, and they bought him a lot of time. They did a lot of sporadic damage and killed some harvesters, and yeah, that's bought him a bit of time to move his MCV to the middle. He is just going to be... Oh, no, sorry. He does have a tier 3, so he could drop Sonic emitters in this attack. And Nohov is going for infantry upgrades, which I do like. He's going to have to wait for that last one to complete first before he attacks. And is there no AP ammo? Oh, my God. He doesn't have AP ammo, Sybert. He's going to have to go sniper teams or something. Otherwise, he's going to lose this fight.
Scorpion tanks rolling up to the middle of the map, and there's going to be the Cabals leading all of the rocket squads as well. Those Confessors could be throwing out hallucinogenic grenades to cause problems for the Zocom. It's a full retreat from the players of Zocom tanks. They're abandoning their MCV. It's the laser field, and there's the trap. There's the spring as the sonic emitter comes up, hiding behind that MCV. There was also a split force from Futurama on the north side of the map that is returned back now. It is the full force of Zocom. It is 30k of army versus 20. And now that Futurama has this established position, these sonic emitters are something you always have to watch out for.
Yeah, things were looking pretty good for Nohov there. He had a really large army right at Futurama's doorstep, but then all of a sudden that sonic emitter comes down, and then a force comes in from the north, and a force comes in from the southwest.
In the main base of Futurama, it's not burning down much of use, but I don't know, maybe that would have been better to even just go into the main base or something. He gets a refinery at a field that's empty, and this also alerts Futurama to the flame tank. Maybe he could have saved it and gone for the tier 3.
Yeah, just choosing to get what he could have got then. I mean, yeah, he could have just gone up to the tier 3, but I mean, the longer it's in the enemy base, the greater the chance of it being detected. Also on the spike front, 2 spikes are dead, so both players back to 1 spike apiece, and the Marv is on the way, and so is the Redeemer, so no one's really committing to putting any refs down at the center. This is probably going to be an all-in on the middle field, and oh man, Futurama does have quite a large army. I just think it's going to crush what Nohov has, and he's actually going to attack even without the Marv.
He's just ready to go in. There is a sneaky stealth tank on the left side of the map, 2 of them in fact, so maybe Nohov has a secret ace up his sleeve that he can make something happen with. For now, Futurama decides to poke in on the north, but these forces on the south, they're heading in as well, and they have just been, I guess, forgotten. I'm not sure what Futurama is doing with this split army. It is half of his units in the north, half in the south with this MCV, and I guess he's going to be moving in for a big ol' sandwich. The Redeemer is out, and so is a mine drop on top of the forces. Good night to 3 Predator tanks. Meanwhile, on the south side, the MCV is up and running, and Nohov is fighting on 2 fronts. Nohov is winning on 2 fronts as well.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit ambitious from Futurama. I think he's paying the price. Here comes the Sonic Emitter behind the MCV again. We'll have to see how this goes.
Every harvester in the natural expansion is going down as well. Sonic emitter popped behind the MCV. It worked once, but it didn't work twice. The Marv comes out, but it's after the fight is almost decided. It's the group in the north that's fighting the Redeemer and 2 obelisks. That's not going to work out. It's the group in the south fighting against this MCV and going for the barracks kill because they got to do something before the Marv rolls over them. That's Zone Raiders inside of the Marv blasting down the infantry forces. It's Venoms coming in on to cover the retreat and knock down some of these infantry from the Zocom. The stealth tanks are still rolling around the map somewhere, and this Marv is exposed, open, alone, and afraid as the Redeemer marches on to try and lock it down. Here's the Redemption to try and call in the EMP to lock down the MCV, to lock down the Marv, and to shut down this Zocom once and for all. But there's just no forces left from the Nod. Where is his army? It has to be somewhere, but it's just this Redeemer. There's no DPS.
Yeah, he's going to have to be careful here because this is a very powerful Marv. Still plenty of health. There's nothing garrisoned in the Redeemer, so he has no repairs. EMP comes down on the Marv, but again, he's only got, I think, 2 EMP squads available to him. He might have to be careful getting too close to those obelisks here. He's going to have to pull that back for repairs, so Nohov buys himself a little bit of time here, but he's not going to be able to face the Marv with just the Redeemer. Well, actually, hang on, more obelisks coming down. Is the Marv going to be able to escape? That's the question. He might be able to just sneak behind the War Factory, and if he does, he's going to be fine, Sybert.
Another shot comes out. The Redeemer steps forward. The Marv so close to death. The stealth tanks from before coming in to hit it from behind. They're rolling up close and they're driving right past it. They don't even care. All of that time, Futurama has lost every single harvester on the field. The stealth tanks did their work from 10 down to 0. Hoxaeb brings it back in game number 2. He makes it an even series. He will not be clean swept out of this game.
Yeah, it was quite surprising that he managed to bring that one back. I think Futurama did a few things which were a little bit unnecessary there, continuing to split a lot of his armies up quite a bit when it just wasn't necessary. But for getting AP ammo to way into the late game was a bit of an issue as well. But yeah, those stealth tanks, they really paid dividends there, and they basically destroyed everything at the back, and that was enough to convince Futurama that the game was over.
Maybe some things could have turned out differently, and that's exactly what we said for game number 1. There were some decisions made that were a little bit questionable, and I'm just glad to see that it is not a shutout. I am so glad to see Hoxaeb has a point on the board. Futurama has a point on the board. Man, if we came in after yesterday with all of those 4-0s and then we jump into the semifinals and it's like, oh, what's going to happen? Rex versus Bike Rush. And then, oh, what's going to happen? Hoxaeb versus Futurama. 5-0. Whew, we at least have 1 point on the board for both players.
Yeah, probably going to have a closer scoreline in this particular series, but still I do like Futurama's position there. I felt in that game he sort of let it slide. It wasn't that Hoxaeb did anything particularly well there. He was just able to put enough forces together to make it happen. And Futurama is going to transition away from Zocom. He's going to switch to GDI.
Perhaps he just wants a little bit more of those standard GDI armaments. He wants the Juggernauts. He wants the more traditional of those artillery options to even things out between the two forces. And that is going to take us to Badlands. Welcome to the Badlands for game number 3. Our first tiebreaker of this semifinal, powered by Chronosphere. On the left side, we have the purple nod. This is Hoxaeb. And on the right side, now rocking the vanilla GDI, it's Futurama.
Yeah, and I think the faction switch up is purely because of this map. He wants to have Juggernauts. They're going to be a lot more helpful, considering that the third bases are all in the middle. They're all clustered around the blue field. They're all very close together. And once you get an MCB out there, you can fortify it. So yeah, I think he's doing it purely because he wants Juggernauts in the late game. And he's probably going to be planning on playing into that late game. So I wouldn't be expecting any type of rush to come out from Futurama.
I think it was versus Cyberstorm on this map that Futurama had just a completely dominating game where, as you referenced, he just went into the middle of the map and he camped out there with his MCV, with everything that he had, and he just was able to take that center, control essentially the entire map because he held the center, and choke out Cyberstorm 1 minute after the next. And yeah. It's a great faction choice to do that exact thing.
Yeah, I've seen Futurama play quite a few games on this particular particular map here, and yeah, he does favor that particular strategy when he plays as GDI. Countless times where he's pulled off pretty overwhelming victories if he's not challenged. You do have to be careful with this map though, because the natural expansion is quite large. So if you just decide to invest everything into that, you can make quite a large attack force to push into the middle. So you still need to be a bit cautious. And of course the blue field, they're probably both going to try to take the blue field a lot earlier before bases start appearing in that region of the map.
Buggy Scout coming through. It is GDI versus Nod, and there are some sneaky things that Nod can do, but we haven't seen them just yet. So the Buggy Scout will come through for Hoxaeb. He will sort of confirm, okay, everything's looking normal in the Futurama side of the map. And Futurama does have a couple of scouts positioned in buildings, but he doesn't have really many scouts moving around the map. He's flying a little bit more blind.
Yeah, there's some pretty good positioning on the structures here. Like, you got the structure where the Raider buggy is right now. That's a really good one to have, right? Because it completely shuts out anything from coming from that direction as soon as it leaves the base. And normally you'd expect your opponent to have secured that already, but no, I have bypassed it. The Raider buggy, of course, is giving him superior vision. It's just driving around and around and around. He might have to be careful. There's some pit bulls here.
Pitbull's going to be pushing away that buggy, and I'm really curious. Okay, there's the second War Factory. About the second building at the natural expansion, that's where Hoxaeb can kind of tip his hand. He hasn't been going for the as fast second War Factories that we've seen in some of the previous games versus some of the previous opponents. He has been delaying his second War Factory to a more normal timing, and we see that there. But on the Futurama side of the map, it is going to be double refinery at the natural, and now he is ready to go into command post, into if he wants to go more tech, or if he wants to, I guess he probably wouldn't be going armory this early on, but he's got lots of options.
Yeah, he's going to clean up the blue Tiberium before Hoxaeb can capitalize on the double war factory. He also sent those infantry down the bottom to clear that garrison, and that's going to allow him to take both the tower and the EMP spike. So yeah, he's really investing in it. He's playing a defensive type gameplay. Pred tanks coming out, infantry coming out, double ref. He wants to go into that late game, and he's trying to set himself up to be in the best position.
Right there at the about 4-minute 20-second mark, the operations center comes out for Hoxaeb. And these forces, which were originally just covering the blue Tiberium harvest by Futurama, they're now actually pushing into Hoxaeb's natural expansion. They're going to get one tank. I don't think they should be able to get any harvesters here. Okay, the reinforcements are now coming in. Orca Strike also getting called in, trying to tag some of these forces, and the Shredder turrets are just blasting down these rockets.
Yeah, Futurama decides he's had enough, and he will retreat before he takes two bad losses there. Yeah, the rest of those tanks should be fine. He's going to retreat to the middle. Just remember, he has been cleaning up some of that blue tip, couple of hammerheads to help out as well, because for Hoxaeb, it's a purely tank force, so he's got to be careful if a lot of hammerheads rock up. Going for infantry again. Hopefully Futurama didn't bypass AP ammo. No, he's already got it completed, Sybert.
Finally, he does remember that, and yeah, rockets seem to be the primary answer that Hoxaeb has versus the hammerheads. He does have one SAM site ready to go to cover those harvesters. He is playing Nod, so he does have the stealth harvesters, which does make it harder for hammerheads by themselves to knock that down. That's a pretty quick Marv on the way. Right at the 5-minute 30-second mark, the Marv is already partway completed.
Yeah, he's got 2 MCVs as well, so he's doing the exact strategy that we thought he would. Decoy army comes in. I'm not sure what that's for. You really want to save that for the engagement because it's great at drawing fire, but unfortunately just using it there, I think showing a bit of an experience. He's got a decent army, but the problem is if he sits and waits, I just feel that Futurama, look, he's putting down base defenses preemptively. He's fortifying the middle of the map, and he can't allow him to get too dug in, because just remember, he's got the EMP control center behind it, so he can lock down a huge portion of the army once he commits.
And of course, once he rounds out that tech tree with shockwave artillery as well, he's going to have 2 powerful EMP options to work with. So if a Redeemer steps forward, it very likely isn't going to be stepping back. The Redeemer is approaching 50% completed as the Marv echoes out over the map. And then the other thing that is coming in for Futurama is the Juggernauts. He doesn't have railguns completed yet. He does have a Mammoth tank out on the front line, but yeah, it's just, he is potentially just establishing a chokehold here on the middle, on the whole center of the map.
Yeah, he's not actually going for railguns. I think he just pumped out just the single Mammoth tank, maybe to throw off Hoxaeb, thinking it was going to be rail mammoths, or maybe just for some extra punch to cover him while he gets everything up. But yeah, he's Marvesting. Like you said, if he gets the uplink online, he's going to have a double EMP, and that's just going to be like, it's so difficult to overcome that, right? Spectre artillery coming out though, so he needs to, he's moving the MCV, he's getting his Venoms, he's moving his army, so finally he's gonna do something. He's actually sending all the tanks to the south, which he should be able to get that in. Oh no, he's gonna turn around. He's gonna turn around, so looks like he's gonna go up the center instead.
This is a whole lot of setup from both players. Juggernaut's firing a couple of shots, Spectre artillery firing shots in the north. For now, the EMP control center does stand, but with these laser scorps, they can melt that very quickly. They are moving into that position. Defensive tower is going to be able to get a couple of shots against that. MCV with the laser fence is going to be... Did Shockwave Artillery just fire off? EMP does launch. There's the Redeemer getting locked down. That's a Sonic Emitter dropped at the same time, so you may be losing the EMP control center, but he will get his value for it. Juggernauts are locked in. They are ready to go, and that's one dead Redeemer.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even have anything garrison in the Redeemer, which is pretty bad. But, I mean, that EMP, you can see he was running forward to do a rage and run, and then the EMP just, boom, it's dead. The Scorp tanks will make it through, but again, there's a lot of hammerheads here, and as long as he moves the harvesters away, which he's a little bit slow to do, he's actually probably going to lose quite a few harvesters, but eventually Futurama will be able to clean this up. And I do like the Spectres from Hoxaeb. They have been causing a lot of problems. One click comes down to shut down something. Oh, he clicked the ref and the expansion that he's attacking. He could have probably just destroyed that with his tanks.
Is moving through the base, and what sort of won Hoxaeb game number 2 was killing all of the harvesters of Futurama. Futurama is down to 4 harvesters, and these are tanks that can't fight back, but there's just so many of them that it takes a long time to kill anything. On the front line, Vertigo Bomber is going to be blasting down 2 of those Juggernauts. They knock down 2, but they've also revealed themselves, and the Scorpions are still alive. They can't shoot up, but they just won't die. Every time you kill one, there's yet still another that you haven't eliminated. Predator tanks trying to keep this one harvester alive, but he gets blasted, and Futurama, he's just spending all of his cash rebuilding harvesters. On the front line, it's going to be orbital bombardment getting called in. Mammoth tanks on the front line, but without railguns, as the Juggernauts fire their shots, and the Hammerheads push everything else back. Redeemer's back out on the field as well.
Yeah, that orbital strike was absolutely killer because it took out a bunch of Spectres and forced the rest to retreat, which saved one of the MCVs. But yeah, like you said, Futurama's being pulled all over the place, and he's not. He has the units and the structures, but he's not handling it. He's not controlling it well, and now he finds himself taking pretty heavy damage. And I mean, Hoxaeb is right back in this now. Look at that. He's got like, what's that, 6 Spectre artillery up the back. He can push this.
Vertigo Bombers coming back in. That's 2 more dead Juggernauts. Artillery aren't the only thing you have to worry about. It's also the eyes in the skies as the MCV moves forward to establish ground control. And that's the Shockwave Artillery. We've been waiting for it, but the RNG doesn't shut down the Venoms in the sky. It's just the Redeemer on the ground. And that's a heroic Venom loaded with a laser and ready to go against GDI. Another Redeemer down without hardly doing anything, but it's the power of GDI that stands tall. It's the avatars getting pushed back, and Hoxaeb has put it all on the line, and it doesn't seem to be enough. The GG comes out, and Futurama wins the hard-fought game in the Badlands.
Yeah, the Marv, I don't know where the Marv has been all this time, but it just rocks up at the last minute and probably didn't do that much, but yeah. Futurama does make it happen at the end, and purely because of his really good EMPs and his really good Shockwave and his really good Orbital. So the GDI Tier 4 support powers, just they sort of won him that game, Sybert.
He had the EMP use earlier ready to go from that spike that he captured, and then that allowed him to hold that Shockwave Artillery for, I don't know, 10 minutes in the game. He held it until, I should say, the 10-minute mark. Not that he had access to it for 10 minutes, but he held it for so long. And normally we so often see Shockwave Artillery used first and then Orbital Bombardment. But because he had that EMP spike, he was able to use the Orbital Bombardment to disrupt a fight, regroup his army after chasing down those tanks, and then re-engage utilizing that Shockwave Artillery. And then I thought the Venoms were going to be able to come through and do more, but the rest of the army disappeared on the ground, and then the Venoms were the only thing, really, the air, Vertigos and Venoms, were the only thing that Hoxaeb had, and that just isn't enough.
Yeah, it was a killer Shockwave, and losing the first Redeemer as well, but I mean, sending those tanks in at the back, like, I guess I'm really surprised Futurama didn't pull his harvesters sooner. He just let them all sort of die, and that put a lot more pressure on him. And also, Hoxaeb, he did pull his Spectres back right when the MCV was one shot away from dying. So he could have punched that down, but I mean, he needed to get out of that orbital strike, which the orbital strike is actually really, really good against Spectre artillery because you only need to hit them with like 2 rounds and you can usually destroy them.
Not quite able to make it happen. Nohayev putting up a good fight, and those tanks in the back line, you know, you could make a million different decisions in every single game, and it felt like that was one of those missteps that maybe if those tanks had been used slightly differently, Nohayev would have been able to take that game versus Futurama. It was the power of GDI there in the middle of the map that won Futurama the game. He camped out, he stayed in place, and he was ready to go. And that will send us to Sick City for game number 4 in the north. Needing to put another point on the board, switching it up to Blackhand. This is Nohayev. And in the south, it is up to the Cyan Steel Talons. This is Futurama.
I think Futurama just sold his barracks without building a second engineer. That might have been a mistake, I think.
Wow, that, and yeah, he's got a ref queued, so that's going to be a very late second Tiberium spike. He might be going for the second barracks now to deploy that at the back of the base. That is not something we see very often, a player of this caliber forgetting something like an engineer for the tip spike.
Actually, maybe it was intentional, right? Because he doesn't have that many scouts out, and I mean, it does get the engineer pretty close to the spike, because when you place the first barracks really far forward, it takes a while for the other guy to run across the distance of the spike. And meanwhile, there's actually a flame infantry push coming out. It's not an all-in, but it is designed to go and destroy this spike at a minimum and put some pressure on Futurama.
We were so focused on the engineer problem that I completely missed that, yeah, Black Disciples got purchased by Nohayev. That was a very fast secret shrine and a pretty quick money dump to get this upgrade out. It will pay off with that spike kill, as you referenced. Wolverines are out and a watchtower, so there is some defense here for Futurama.
Yeah, the thing about Wolverines without AP ammo, I mean, it's very easy for them to get overrun, especially with these buildings here the infantry can jump into. So he's actually going to use one of the Wolverines to scout by the looks of it, and he's going to keep the other one at home. But I think he might have overspent a little bit because, yeah, the infantry is actually going to now come for his base. He doesn't have a second ref. He's going to have to drop a second turret. He's only got one. This is a bit risky, Sybert.
MCV, or infantry closing in. There's the first watchtower going down. Second watchtower finally does deploy. And on the other side of the map, it's just a couple of scouting units for Futurama. He has rolled the dice and he has played it a bit risky. And he's now paying the price for it. What's going to pop out? It's another harvester out of the war factory. He's going to hold this just with static defenses alone. These watchtowers are all he's got.
Yeah, he's going to be able to crush the rest of these forces now. Not enough rockets left to kill the harvesters, and yeah, the crush should be sufficient to finish this off. One of his harvesters actually idle. He's concentrating. Oh, there's a flame tank coming. Sybert, this is over.
The flame tank that you didn't expect behind all of this. Futurama thought he was safe, but he's got nothing left. The GG comes out, and it's 3 minutes to even the score. Nohayev says, you get one win, I get the next. He's on even, Futurama is on odd, and game number 4 goes to Nohayev. And here we go into tournament airstrip for game number 5. It is all tied up 2-2 in this best of 9. And on the left side, playing the nod, this is Nohayev. On the right side, swapping to Skrin. Throw your hands up for Futurama.
Yeah, so we do see Futurama pick Skrin for the first time in the series. Took to game 5 to see it come out, but I guess, you know, on this particular map, he wants to play as Skrin Vanilla, which I think is probably one of his favorite factions. Very powerful with Skrin Vanilla. No one going for the... Actually, no, sorry. Futurama, he's got a lot of buzzers here, and that's because there is an assimilator, so he wants that middle spike. And, you know, when you're against Nod Vanilla, they have really bad scouts. I guess he feels he can take that. No worries, Sybert.
There's one militant squad. He does get the buzzer before he can get it, but there's 2 more buzzers behind, three more buzzers behind that. So this militant squad is not going to make it to the engineer, and the engineer does cap that middle spike. This is an oddball community-made map entirely because it's only 1 Tiberium spike per player. So you've got the 1 spike on each side, and then a third contested fight in the middle. A third contested spike in the middle. Almost every single other community-made map features 2 spikes per player. So that does make the Tiberium spikes on this map that much more precious.
I mean, it's a rarity these days, right? This is a really old map. It's like more than 10 years old. I think it's actually more than 15 years old if you go back to its original iterations of Tournament Outback or wherever it morphed from, because it wasn't always originally like this. But yeah, contested spikes, like, oh geez, you just don't see it. It's just not a thing anymore. And so yeah, to still have some maps like this which are popular, which have them, I think it definitely spices things up, especially if it's just 1 contested spike. If you put multiple, that's way too much. But yeah, I like the fact that some of these maps are still popular. I do enjoy the contested spike situation, and yeah, a majority, well, not a majority of the time, but more often than not, I will look at trying to make an attempt on that as well.
Futurama gets it. So for the moment, Futurama has that advantage. He's also up 6 Harvesters to 5, and that's partially because Hoxaeb has gone double War Factory. This is the Hoxaeb that we have seen many times before versus Bike Rush, versus Dimitri, versus Phoenix. Double War Factory, bike, buggy spam. You delay your expansion, and you get out a ton of units.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to go for a portal now, which is really important because it is a really fast 2 War Factory. I'm not sure if he's caught onto that. I mean, there's a Seeker going across now, but he's going to see this, and he's not queuing a Photon Cannon, so he's probably not aware that it's about to hit him until it's right here now. And there you go, almost immediately starts queuing a Photon Cannon. Seeker tanks have to be careful, they're not going to get sniped, but I like the target firing going straight for the bikes.
He's not letting the buggies absorb the damage and be the bullet sponge. The buggies are going to be able to jump on those disintegrators, but he's bought enough time for the Photon Cannon to come out.
Yeah, I'm a bit concerned about the placement of that Photon Cannon. It's not in a very good position. A lot of people tend to rush them down a little bit. I think you should place them in an area where you can actually keep them up and running, and you can build multiple photons. They tend to just place it where the units are at that particular point in time. He's going to swing around to the main base here, but I think Futurama again, he's going to try to target the bikes down. He needs to be careful. There's not that many Seeker tanks here, and then he switches to hit the buggies. 2 Seekers already dead. No bikes down just yet, Sybert.
Another Photon Cannon does get established. That'll help him out with the defense. 1 bike dies on exit, so in the short term, that was a very good engage for Hoxaeb. Behind this, that's the double refinery. This is what I like about Hoxaeb's variant of this build, is it's big units followed by even bigger eco. He's going to swing into the natural expansion. That's going to be a Photon Cannon knocked down, and that's going to be potentially a pause coming in here, as we might have to tap out of this one. The lag is getting pretty bad. Green Zero, do you mind leaving this game?
Yeah, I can tap out if you need.
Go ahead and exit out.
I will exit out now. I can't even get the menu to come up. What's going on? Oh, here we go.
All right, we've had a couple of connection problems. Oh, are you out of the game?
I'm out, yep.
Okay, it has smoothed out. So I don't know, the mystery of Kane's Wrath Network, how we can have 2 or 3 or 4 games in a row that are perfectly fine, that are running at 30 FPS, as all games should. Running at 30 FPS, completely smooth, and then now randomly in Game 5, 2, 3, 5 minutes in, we get this, like, major lag spike, but... so Green Zero will have to tap out of this. There's the phase on the Harvester there from Futurama. And Hoxaeb, he's going to be pulling his bikes back in the middle. Futurama has mass disintegrators crossing on the south side of the map. Of course, he is playing Scrin, so he doesn't have those advanced articulators. Behind this, he is going to be stealing the blue Tiberium with that phased Harvester. A safe way to grab that blue Tiberium. Couple of Venoms going to be cleaning up these disintegrator squads, and that is a lot of dead descents in the middle of the map. There go the Venoms to try and hunt more descents. Behind this, it's an ops center, it's an air tower, but it's not more tech than that for Hoxaeb. For the current moment, he is focused more on that army. building up a big unit count and worrying about the tech a little bit later. Venoms hunting around the map. We do have an engineer curiously placed at the natural expansion. Tripods are now out, but Futurama just doesn't seem to have an answer for these Venoms. They have cleaned up so many disintegrator squads all over the map, and they're just making this Skrin infantry look useless. And of course, with plain vanilla Nod, once you get that tier 3, you then have the opportunity to get lasers for Venoms, for Scorpions, and for the Raider buggies. The perfect triple upgrade there. Seeker tanks in the north. Futurama moving forward. He's finally got the plasma missile battery ready to go, and he is angled for his opponent's third base as well. His MCV is moving very aggressively into the middle of the map. Venoms are going to try and skirt by on the north. They're going to be looking for something to attack. Laser capacitors hasn't come in just yet. Force fields are up for the Skrin player. Futurama, he's deployed his MCV. He has chosen his spot. It is right there in the middle of the map on the Hoxaeb side of the map. And there's going to be the plasma missile battery as the first place deployed. Even the Vertigo bombers are getting scared away from this fight. And the drop does get eliminated. There's going to be the cap of the MCV with the stasis shield. He freezes it in place. The tanks as well as the tripods tear down that third base. And Futurama with the heavy tech focus and with the one clicks is going to be able to control the third base of Hoxaeb. He's going to have to find a way to get out of this bad situation. The Vertigo bomber is going to be coming in, the Venoms as well. The plasma missile battery and the laser fence are going to be trying to buy time for both teams, but that's a dead MCV, and that's a lot of tripods on the front line. The full force of Hoxaeb is not all on the front line as reinforcements come in. The obelisk got placed down at the last possible second, and he actually snipes 2 or 3 tripods with it. Hoxaeb with the Vertigos and with the avatars is holding as long as he can. The reinforcements are finally here with the double portal. It's just too much. Futurama nearly gets pushed back, but it's the GG as Futurama wins game number 5 and retakes the point lead once again. For the third time in this series, Futurama manages to get that 1-point advantage out of Hoxaeb, and if the pattern repeats itself, Hoxaeb's turn to strike back comes in game number 6. He currently leads the series, and he leads us on to Tournament Undergrounds. The faction choice of the purple black hand on the map choice, rather, of the purple black hand on the left side of the map. Let's find out if he has something tricky planned for us. This is Hoxaeb. And on the right side, playing the Traveler, this is Futurama. He's Cyan, and he is ready to tango with 2 engineers right out of the gate.
Yeah, look at this. Hoxaeb is going to go for the center spike. Knowing he's got Cabals, he's actually built a Cabal squad. That's going to be very powerful, so he's very comfortable that he'll be able to take the center spike. But meanwhile, yeah, Futurama with that second engineer, he's just going to go to the top spike. He thinks he's going to very casually take that without really any issues. Got 3 buzzers to cover it, and a drafted Cabal squad. So yeah, he's going to get the top spike.
This is not something I think I've ever seen. There are a decent number of players who will go for that center southern Tiberium spike in the beginning of the game, especially if they're going for a rush. It seems like they want to grab that to have the extra little bit of an eco boost. But I feel like I've never seen players just evenly split the spikes because there are 2 contested spikes, but the one in the north is so far away that no one usually captures it for the first 5 or 6 minutes of the game.
Yeah, we were just talking about maps with contested spikes, and then this one rocks up with one of the most greatest contested spikes of all time on that center island there. But yeah, you do often see sometimes players will just send the rando engineer up, sometimes completely unescorted, because they're like, it's the start of the game. There's no reason to scout up there, right? Because all the action is in the bottom of the map at the start, and you can just get an unescorted engineer capture. It actually happens more often than you think, Sybert.
And it happens here in this game. It's a little bit late, but it does happen. And what's not late is this flame tank moving across the edge, the bottom of the map. And, well, there are a couple of Cabals who get sent in first to try and scout out whether there's a seeker tank, and there wasn't a seeker tank. So this flame tank got basically the perfect opening that he could ask for. There's the split. He's force firing the ground in between the War Factory and the refinery, and that's good night to Futurama. It looks like the pattern repeats itself. I win, you win. I win, you win. Engineers come out. They're too late, and they get sniped anyways. Hoxaeb is just crushing Futurama in 3 minutes flat.
Yeah, I mean, that engineer was like a millimeter away from repairing the War Factory, and he just couldn't get it. And that caused the flame tank to go elite. And then this is just it, right? How can he dislodge this Reckoner? He's in such a bad position. Even if he's able to withstand this, he's going to lose the ref, and he's just going to be in a terrible position because look, yeah, that's it. It's the end of the game.
GG.
He knows it's over.
Wow, Futurama, he gets the win on Tournament Airstrip, and it's long, it's drawn out, it's a late game fight. It's avatars versus tripods, it's third bases fighting for each other, and then again Hoxaeb comes in under 4 minutes, evens up the score. It's 3-3. This series almost couldn't be more different from the first one of the day.
Yeah, I honestly don't know how Futurama lost to that. He knows he's against Blackhand. He knows it's an incredibly short rush distance, and to not see it until it's at his base, it's just, the game is over at that point. It was so dangerous, and I just don't know why. Like, I've seen pros do this before. It's like, nah, I don't need to scout. I don't need to scout Blackhand when they're right next to my base. It's like, no, this is why you always scout Blackhand, especially on a small map, because if you don't see it, the game is basically over. And yeah, I'm just quite surprised that he died so thoroughly to that strategy.
That's one of those things where I wasn't even expecting anything to happen because I thought Futurama would have that base covered. So then when the flame tank rolls into the base and there's just nothing there, in my mind I'm like, how did this even happen? How did we even get here? And yet Futurama, who had such an incredibly strong like game 1, game 2, game 3, absolutely murdering Hoxaeb in some of these games, he just completely misses that checkbox. He completely slips up, and I don't know, that's almost like an embarrassing loss versus Blackhand on that map.
It's going to be frustrating for Futurama. I mean, dropping a game in that fashion, I mean, oh, like, come on, he's going to be feeling it for sure. And I mean, 2 out of the 3 victories for Hoxaeb has been these rushes, right? He did the infantry rush and the flame rush on Six City, and then he did a similar thing on this map, and he got 2 easy, quick wins. So, Futurama's going to have to watch out. Hoxaeb might just decide, hey, if I'm going to win, I got to do it quickly. They are looks like they're on Winter Meltdown, which I'm hoping they stick with, Sybert, because once again, another one of my favorite maps.
Futurama has gotten to pick half of the maps that we have seen today, and Hoxaeb has gotten to choose the other ones. They have just been trading these games back and forth one after the other, and I know that you do sometimes track statistics and like average game time for win and loss, and yeah, there is a huge discrepancy where Futurama's average game win is like 10 minutes and Hoxaeb's average game win is sub 5 minutes. So I guess it kind of means if we get to the 5-minute mark, there is an 80% chance that Futurama wins that game. And if Hoxaeb is going to win, at least in this series versus Futurama, he has to win by rushing. As the map pool goes on, we're done. Six City and Tournament Undergrounds, those are some amazing rush maps. They're gone forever. So now Hoxaeb is going to have to either try and execute these rushes on different maps where they may not work out as well, or he's going to have to try and change up his playstyle and somehow win versus Futurama in the late game, in those big fights at the end.
Yeah, the problem for him is that Blackhand probably has the weakest late game of all the Nod factions. Not saying you can't obviously win big fights or anything like that with Blackhand, but they lack aircraft, they lack stealth, 2 things that are really good against Scrin. And yeah, if Winter Meltdown's not a map where you usually see people die too early. Like, you can rush on it, that's fine, but yeah, it's usually pretty easy to get that first base up, and you end up with some pretty spectacular showdowns. But yeah, it looks like they're ready to begin the game.
We have abandoned GDI. We're going to get another Traveler 59 versus Black Hand match. And yeah, I'm definitely expecting flames. This is a map that has a lot of entrances and exits to bases and natural expansions. So maybe the flame tanks will come in that case. But, well, we are all tied up here as we spawn into Winter Meltdown. Welcome to game number 7 of this best of 9. Chrono Clash II Semifinal B is delivering in the score. And on the bottom left-hand corner, playing the purple-black hand, this is Hoxaeb. He can even things up with the fast games, but he struggles in the late game versus the Cyan Traveler in the north. This is Futurama.
Yeah, this is one of those maps where you do have quite a lot of bridges and quite a lot of choke points, but they're not super tight. Like, these bridges are quite wide and you've got the open area. It's always hard to say whether this is an open or a closed map. I think it's sort of in between, and generally speaking, I think you almost universally get good games on this particular map. It's well balanced, I think, for all factions.
Hoxaeb has become famous for his tricky plays: double war factory, delayed expansion, flame rushes, infantry pushes, all of them with Nod or Black Hand. A little bit of a limited pool, and it feels like if Futurama can get a win here with Traveler, he can then go into anything else that he wants. He could switch back up to GDI as the map pool changes. I'm actually kind of surprised he didn't switch up to GDI for this map, but as you say, it is balanced. Traveler 59 is still a strong choice here on Winter Meltdown.
Yeah, look at this. Buzzer swarm straight into the base, sees the operation center, sees one flame tank, and he doesn't clean up the buzzer with the shredder draft, which means this buzzer can turn around and re-scout later on. He knows the operation center is still there, so he knows it's probably a second flame tank or a reckoner. It's going to be a reckoner, and he should still have vision for that cell. Yeah, so one flame reckoner and one flame tank, but this time Futurama knows it's coming, and it's a long way from his base.
Perfect scouting pattern by Futurama. He picks up his MCV. On the other side of the map, Hoxaeb has also scouted Futurama. There is a Seeker tank here in the middle to try and catch the Reckoner. He's actually not going for the Flame tank. He's going for the Reckoner instead. There is a second Seeker tank as well, and a third. The Cabals are starting to poke away at those Seeker tanks, and Futurama is just trying to decide how best to engage. The Flame tank gets sent in first, and it's trying to buy some space for the Reckoner. One of these flame units will make it. No, the Reckoner gets deployed, so it's up to the flame tank to try and shut down this refinery. Such a contrast to the last game. This attack is going nowhere fast.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised he lost quite a number of Seeker tanks to the Flame Reckoner. They're sitting in flame range. It's a bit unnecessary, but nonetheless, he's made sure that he's definitely going to survive this by building a few more Seekers than he probably needed. He's probably not too sure about the follow-up, but it is going to be 4 Harvesters for Hoxaeb, and he's moving to the expansion. Meanwhile, Futurama just built his 5th Harvester. Oh, he might have it on a rally, actually. It's heading out on it's just on a small rally. He should be fine.
Now back to work for that. There was actually a portal in the natural expansion, and Futurama built 3 buzzers out of it. So I don't know if he had that portal queued up from the Flame Rush as a safety feature, but one way or the other, he ends up just building more scouts from that to send across the map. He really wants to know exactly what Hoxaeb is doing, and as we've talked about, you can never trust that what you saw 30 seconds ago with this guy is what he's doing now. There's the MCV deployed pretty deep onto the natural expansion. He's had that second war factory for a minute, and now he's moving across the map. The bike buggy is going to go harvester hunting at the natural. Descents are ready and waiting.
Yeah, look at that. The Seekers are now stuck on the wrong side of the attack force. The best they can do is try to focus down some bikes, and they have got a couple so far. Ultimately, they should get cleaned up, but not before he's going to get a few more bike kills. So not too bad for Futurama. Quite a few going down now, and you got to remember that Hoxaeb went for this second war factory before any refs, and yeah, Futurama, he's already got a 1 and 2 on his expansion with a stasis. I guess he's working on legs. He hasn't started it. He needs to get on that quick smart.
Nohayev making a couple of critical mistakes there. We've called out Futurama's unit control and targeting in the past. He is hunting down those bikes. The buggies are supposed to be the damage sponge for the bikes, but in that last engagement, Nohayev lost 3 additional bikes that he didn't need to. One of them from just a lack of micro to keep it back and away from the Seeker forces, and then 2 of them because Futurama was doing a really good job of clicking down the bikes. So in the end, there's 3 or 4 less bikes out on the field than there should have been, although Futurama is now getting his descents caught.
Yeah, he was really slow on the legs upgrade. He had his stasis down for quite some time. It's going to finish up very shortly, but again, these disintegrators should have already had that fast legs, and they could have got a couple of buggy kills. Actually getting that last one, I guess, is better than nothing. These last 2 squads will escape here, but yeah, nonetheless, Futurama still in a pretty good spot. Those Seekers, Sybert, are heading to the north. They're looking to duck in. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lightning spike and repair drones come down with this attack.
The other thing is there are disintegrators in the middle of the map that could join up with this attack as a 1-2 punch. If the harvesters get called off the line, the disintegrators can potentially swing in from the backside. There's the repair drones just as you predicted, and there's going to be the shredder turret drop to try and keep back those disintegrators. Bike buggy is here, but the numbers aren't good. There's the lightning spike. Those bikes trying to stay away from the Seeker tanks. The disintegrators moving in, forcing another shredder turret have to be drafted here, and all of the harvesters are off the line, but for now, they're all alive. Another one gets sent right onto that refinery to refine that Tiberium, and he will pay the ultimate price for it. The rest of the harvesters off the line. This base is completely shut down. No work is getting done, and it's just going to be army units trading against army units.
Yeah, he pulled all the harvesters off the line. He only got 1 harvester kill, but I mean, he's just bought so much time with this, and not to mention he killed a ton of buggies, he killed a bunch of bikes. He has lost a fair bit for it, but still, I think it's worth it. Yeah, again, only 1 harvest. He's actually still coming in with more forces, Sybert. Oh my god, he might be able to get another harvest here. He could very easily snipe that one. He's still trying to go for combat units. I mean, the target firing is pretty good from Futurama. Now starting to do some serious damage.
This has been a almost non-stop push of units. I keep thinking the attack is over, and then there's another wave of units. That harvester did survive, but I want to call your attention to one critical factor behind all of this. Futurama is 15K ahead in total resources gathered. It's the 7-minute mark, and shutting down that economy is paying big dividends now, but it's going to pay big dividends in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, look at this. The disintegrators just preventing the counter attack as well by just drawing fire, killing more units. The disintegrators will ultimately get cleaned up at some point, but again, they completely denied the counter attack that was going to head across the map, because Futurama doesn't really have any units in his base, right? He's going to have time now to get out his hexapod.
He's bought himself so much time. That hexapod is like 80% done, and that bike buggy would have potentially hit before it actually happened. Why are there wrong-colored units? There was an MCV cap. Futurama somehow walked a prodigy or an engineer into the base of Nohayev, capped the MCV, sold it off, and then used the engineer to try and cause even more chaos. Nohayev just got blasted in the face.
Yeah, it was a prodigy that came in and took the MCV there. No defense for the MCV, so it was an easy cap. Hexapod is out now, and there's tripods here. Oh my god, the bike buggy, they've got no upgrades, like no tip core, so they're just going to get shredded by these tier 3 forces here. He's going to have to evac out, and he's going to... Oh man, Futurama's got a base down here as well. He might actually lose this harvester. Only 1 photon cannon. He's trying to respond to it now. Yeah, he's going to get the harvester, shut down the expansion, but for how long, Sybert? He's going to move through, and he's going to find more disintegrators in the natural expansion, so I just think he's not going to get too much done. Does have a flame tank in the north. We'll have to keep a close eye on that one.
Hope springs eternal for Nohayev. He may have lost his MCV, he may have lost some of these early skirmishes, but he's never stopping. He's always trying to come back, and he will be rewarded with yet another harvester kill there in the north. That flame tank kind of revealing itself by attacking that harvester, and that's perhaps a bit unfortunate for Nohayev. 2 tripods have made their way across the map. I don't even know if they were supposed to go there. They might have just been forgotten by Futurama. He's now going to be backing up with those tripods. He's cleaned up the bike buggy, and the game turns into a little bit of chaos. This flame tank is still roaming around in the north.
Yeah, I think he's spotted it because the Gunwalkers are responding, but I mean, the Gunwalkers don't have the DPS to stop it. He's going to get a ref, and that's the only ref here, which means he's going to lose ground control, which is not really important right now, but it could be a factor if we get into a really long game. Flame Tank will be cleaned up. Hexapod is just walking into the natural expansion, and I mean, Nohive has got no eco after this, so he's going to have to make a move to another field, but somehow stop this Hexapod. He's got no EMP, so really it's just going to be mass beam cannons.
He's going to go for the burn down on that Eradicator. I assume there's a Prodigy somewhere on the map who can get this Eradicator out of the corner that it is currently walking itself into. We did see the kill of that Ops Center, so the tech isn't fully reset here for Nohive, but it is sort of partially reset. More Disintegrators going to be coming in. They're split through the middle of the map. They run past that rebuilt MCV, and the Eradicator Hexapod, it does eventually get teleported out of the corner. This is... Oh, another MCV cap! Why, Futurama, good night! You can't have nice things because mind control takes them away.
Yeah, no supercharged particle upgrade means he cannot defend that out too well. And this is basically an all-in for Nohive now. He's got 13 beam cannons, so he's actually got the ability to kill the epic unit and maybe win a fight, but I just don't think he's got enough. I mean, he's got a lot of infantry. He's actually going to engage here, but this Cultist one, oh, that's a premature phase from Futurama. That was way too soon, and that Temporal was not that great. I think he's going to be able to get through most of that. Maybe, oh no, maybe it's not going to matter.
Okay, GG comes out, and Nohive has been defeated before the big fight between the big armies takes place. Futurama gets the win in game number 7. That sends us into game number 8, and we finally have a match point advantage for one of these players. After 7 games, Futurama has finally done it. He is within striking distance of winning this series.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a lot tougher than I thought he thought it was going to be, and definitely a lot closer than what I thought it was going to be. But yeah, you can see that if the game goes for a while, Futurama's experience and control does win out in the late game. Nohive will have the map choice. Tournament Rift. Okay, that's an oldie, but I guess that's where he wants to take what could potentially be his final game in the tournament.
It has been a long, slow build up to this point, and we're finally getting close to the end with Nohive, somewhat surprisingly, choosing Tournament Rift. This is a map that features one thing that we've talked about a number of times: contested spikes. They are pretty far down in the south, but there are 2 sometimes called poker spikes because they are split very, very much between the 2 players. But the ones in the south, they're so far away that it feels like they either get evenly split or you just wait until like the 5-minute mark before you actually try to capture them.
Yeah, this is an EA map, of course, as well, which there's very few of them left in rotation these days. And these maps, yeah, they do have a lot of contested spikes on them. I think it's funny that we started talking about contested spikes and then we got a bunch of maps all with contested spikes on them. But yeah, it's one of those ones where it is at pokers and people don't like it if, you know, oh, I went fast legs, but you went shadows type thing. Like it can really mess with people. Futurama switching to Scrin. I would have liked to see him stay Traveler because I feel like he could go fast legs, take all the spikes. I don't think that Nohive is going to do shadow teams in a match that he absolutely has to win.
That would be absolutely insane. The shadow teams to secure the spikes in the south in a game number 8 of the semifinals. But crazier things have happened. It is one of those things that can come up. We're getting down to the wire here with Futurama versus Nohive. And we're here on Tournament Rift, the classic, the one that got away, the EA map that somehow still makes it into a tournament map pool every once in a while. Welcome to game number 8, and welcome to the one who has the match point advantage on the verge of entering the finals. This is Futurama! And here to stop the world of tomorrow from being realized on the right side, the underdog, this is Nohive.
Yeah, looks like no one's going to go for those bottom spikes there, Sybert. Not even sending scouts down there at all that I can see. So yeah, it's going to be a very safe opening for both players. We'll have to wait and see. Look at that scout, that buzzer in the top will just sneak around. That's got to be annoying for Nohaya because he's going to have to draft a shredder turret if he wants to block the scout. And if he goes all the way around, he's going to have a really hard time stopping that from seeing his war factory.
So close to denying that scout, and then it still slips through. Futurama's vision hasn't quite seen the main base just yet. The angle on the militant squad is good. The second militant squad catches it, and the unfortunate thing for Nohaya is he spent all that time chasing down that scout, and then there's another one that walks right in the front door. He sees everything at the 90-second mark.
Yeah, putting the buzzer right next to the MCD. He's probably got that on hold ground starts, maybe trying to bait out the militants. Actually going to run for the militants. Oh no, that was a bit risky. Maybe didn't see them there, but it is going to be a stock standard eco build from both players, Sybert.
Or so it seems. Nohaya, for the current moment, is going that stock standard, and maybe he'll trick things out, but yeah, could be just a regular old macro game. We could be going, 15 years into the past when we used to see Tournament Rift as the most commonly played 1v1 map, as the most popular tournament map in all tournaments. When it was part of the original 7 or 8 maps that EA put out with Kane's Wrath, this was by far the most popular, and as a result, we could just be having the most standard Kane's Wrath game in the world. Vanilla Scrin versus Vanilla Nod, and macro builds from both.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember when Kane's Wrath came out, Tournament Rift was just one of 5 ranked 1v1 maps that were available. In fact, EA only added one new map that was a tournament decision into the 1v1 ranked pool. So you got to remember, with only 5 maps to choose from, that's why this map was overwhelmingly played. And it wasn't really until the community came along and buffed that up that this map started to fall away in the later years anyway.
All right, we have the second War Factory up and running. Nohaya is keeping those timings tight. That second War Factory lining up with the 2-minute 50-second mark, whereas on the Futurama side of the map, it's a harvester transferred down to the natural expansion. It's a refinery on the natural straight away from the screen. He does now have the portal. He does not have a photon cannon queued, but he is starting to get ready.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. This is basically Nohaeb's favorite strategy. He's done this a lot in the tournament, and it's worked out against other players, but again, versus Futurama, it just seems to be having a much harder time going straight for the bikes. Doesn't get one because he did split his fire a little bit. Loses the Seeker Tank. It's going to be the dance side, but
back and forth, back and forth. One bike will pay the price. Almost the photon cannons targeting AI almost led Futurama astray there by targeting a full health bike, but at the end he did tag that low health bike, and Futurama has been dealing with this attack in part by very careful unit control. He has been doing an excellent job of targeting down the bikes, not letting the targeting AI of Kane's Wrath make the decision for him. This is a lot of bikes ready to swing in. The harvesters are here. Some of them are kind of exposed. That's one and done. Big volley from the bikes. They'll pay for it with a couple on exit, but he gets an extra seeker tank as well. So far, this is going good for Nohaya.
yeah, I guess the harvester loses minimal bikes in the process. That was a good strike there, and good decision making. He knew exactly when to hit it and exactly when to pull out. So now look at this, he's going to transition back to the top of the map again. I think maybe Devourers are going to come out at this point for Futurama. He is vanilla scrin. Seekers get caught at the spike, but I think those bike buggy are a little bit overzealous there. He's got to watch out because Futurama is now focusing those bikes, and a lot more bikes going down. I don't know if it's a good idea to trade with them. Yeah, that did not turn out too well at all.
There were 3 or 4 seeker tanks there that were bleeding blue flame that looked like they were so close to death, and I think Nohaya thought he could get them down, but the trades are a lot more even than Nohaya would like. A couple of more seeker tanks going down now with the Scorpion tanks and Disintegrators moving in for both sides. The trades can get harder. Behind this, it is 10 harvesters for Nohaya. He followed up the big attacks with the double War Factory with even bigger eco. Dozer Blades on on the way. The tech is not forgotten. This is why Hoxaeb was able to smash so many players. The double war factory into Big Eco, not forgetting the tech, not forgetting the upgrades. It's so well-rounded that it works against most players.
Look at this, those two assimilators, such a dangerous location. There is a Raider buggy coming along, but it is a Nod Raider buggy, so it will not detect stealth. I mean, I think maybe he sniffs out that they are there. Oh, Disintegrator is actually catching those Scorpion tanks in the middle and killing the Raider buggies as well. That's not good for Hoxaeb.
Futurama looking to take those secret spikes in the south. 6 minutes into the game. The assimilators potentially on the way. There was a harvester long distance mining from the middle Tiberium field. It got sniped by some bikes. It's a bit of chaos turning into this game. This is a decently sized map. It's not the biggest of all time, but it's a big map, and so you can have these armies fighting on opposite sides from each other. These disintegrators moving in. Hoxaeb should be able to deal with this, especially with the Venoms. Meanwhile, the tripod is dealing with the bikes on the other side of the map.
Yeah, getting a little bit messy here from Hoxaeb. He's just losing some scattered units now. Futurama is finally at the bottom spikes with his assimilators, so once he grabs those, having 3 spikes, he's going to start feeling that. He's still got plenty of tip to burn on his expansion. Shields is almost done, and yeah, the shielded tripods, if he gets enough of them, will be able to rip through the Dozer Blade Scorps. He will have laser capacitors, but that alone will not be able to defeat a large cluster of tripods.
One of the big differences between Tournament Rift and a lot of the other community map pools is the lack of safe third bases. So Futurama has the early MCV move to the contested third in the north. There are stealth tanks in the south, and sometimes the blue Tiberium field that is down here, if one player gets the green field in the north and the other player gets the blue in the south, these Scorpions are walking into a trap here. That's a heroic Disintegrator earning their stripes by killing off loose Scorpion tanks. Stealth tanks are going to reveal themselves, and one gets popped, the other gets annihilated. That's 2 dead stealth tanks. That was supposed to be a comeback tool, and now it's in the dirt.
Yeah, that's just poor control by Hoxaeb there. That sending the stealth tanks in, obviously they were misrallied there. They shouldn't have been there. What's going on over here?
That harvester avoided the crush at the blue Tiberium by 1 mere inch, threading the needle almost through like 5 tripods. An engineer in a carryall driving directly over top of the army of Futurama.
Yeah, it's not the only one. He's got 4 of them on the map, 2 for the spikes and 1 in the top left as well. Surely he's just going to swarm out one of these guys, though.
I don't even... I guess if Hoxaeb is hoping that he's got so many engineers it's going to distract Futurama, and the last one is actually going for the MCV. He thinks Futurama isn't paying attention, and he might be right. Futurama has something queued, but is it a buzzer hive? It is, and it kills the engineer. That is 2 dead engineers and 2 captured spikes for Hoxaeb.
Yeah, if he got the MCV, that would have been almost, not game ending, but it would have put Futurama way on the back foot because, I mean, Hoxaeb is moving forward. He's going for the infantry upgrades, which actually he's already completed them, so he's going to try to do a big push. There are some Gunwalkers here. Redeemer just comes out. Does he have attenuated force fields? Attenuated force fields is almost done. Maybe he might just want to wait a bit before engaging. It would be nice to have a Devastator or 2 here as well to deal with the infantry, but nonetheless, Futurama has quite a powerful army.
If you're not familiar, the attenuated force fields affect some of the lower tech units. You just saw them come online right now. So if you're not as familiar with Kane's Wrath, there are 2 separate force field upgrades. One for higher tech units like tripods and one for lower tech units like gunwalkers and seeker tanks. This is a lot of harvesters on the front line for both players. The Nod ones are stealth, so they're stealing away 5 loads of green Tiberium from this field, and they might just get away with it scot-free.
Meanwhile, Scorps are pushing on the blue field. There was some Seeker tanks here to stop enemy harvesters, but they're all going to get completely destroyed. Looks like Futurama has nothing much to really counter the Scorp run by as well, so he's splitting off some of his tripods. I'm not sure about this, because if Hoxaeb decides to go into the center, there's not going to be enough there to stop him.
We said earlier that Nohaev's average game time is quite short, and this is a game that could change that statistic for him. He's got a shot to take this game here late in on Tournament Rifts. Tripods are going to try and trap these Scorpion tanks. I think they have accepted their fate. They're not going to try to escape. They're going to try and buy time for the army on the front line to move forward. It's a wall of rockets. It's a Redeemer. It's a couple of avatars. And MCV, or well, it's going to be an all-out brawl in the middle. There's the stasis shield to lock down that Redeemer, and the re-engage will come in for Futurama. He's going to get up close and personal. He's going to try and just lock down everything. One obelisk deploys. There's going to be the phase for the crush. Mind drop gets shut down before it can drop anything. There's the redemption on top of this infantry army, hoping for the EMP to lock down these Skrin forces. There's the Redeemer back online and back offline. It's all going south on the front line for Nohaev as the first EMP lands and locks down its own Harvester, and the second EMP doesn't allow the Redeemer to escape. It's all going downhill as the double obelisk is almost all he's got. It's up to the Avatar, it's up to the obelisk, and it's up to the EMPs to hold the line. Venom's coming in, gonna try and assist with this fight. The rockets on the ground, getting the shots off, and the avatars from the back are burning down what's left of the Skrin. The Redeemer goes down, but the reinforcements come in. Futurama drops a tripod, and the Venoms just don't have much to counter them. The rockets go heroic, bursting down the Harvesters and the power plants, and it's a fight of avatars versus tripods, and Futurama is gonna have to pull back from the front line.
Yeah, Mass Buzzer Hive span here. He's getting pretty desperate. Maybe if he can get some portals or some power plants in front of the hives, he's just going to have so many hives, he's going to be able to overwhelm everything. But there are only 3 avatars here. That might not be enough to break through this base now that there are 3 tripods here. And the harvesters are getting sniped. Everyone's long distance mining. There's only 2 scorpions in the back of the base, although there is an elite one. He might need to be careful about that. If that goes heroic, it's going to be bad news bears.
He forced the sell-off of the Tier 3 from Futurama with that Scorpion tank sneak attack in the back door. That's a double War Factory on the front line. That's now 4 avatars matched by 4 tripods. Force fields keeping those Skrin units alive, and it is down to just 2 Harvesters on the side of Futurama. It's 8 on the side of Nohaev, and this is the push from Nohaev. He's going to try and never stop with the Obelisk on the front line. There's a big EMP, locks down 3 of the tripods. This might be the moment if another Avatar can get a kill. There's a kill on a tripod as it's locked down. Another Harvester getting targeted. That heroic rocket has fired 100 shots, and he still hasn't been stopped. That's 2 heroic rockets. That's how many units have been killed off by Nohaev as he is looking to break the front line. The last of the tripods fall, and Futurama's game number 8 collapses out from under him. It's 13.5 minutes. It's a win for Nohaev. He gets it late in the game, and the engineers are giving second life to these tripods. Futurama is trying everything, but it's just not enough.
Yeah, oh my god, the juggling of the assimilators there. He actually recaptured like those husks 4 or 5 times in a row, but at the end, all those avatars coming out, I didn't realize he had so many back there. And yeah, I thought for a moment there that Futurama was going to hold tight, but somehow with all the long distance mining, Nohaev is able to put out just enough forces to break through. And the EMPs, like you said before, they were fantastic at the end there. Locking down those tripods multiple times was just a real deal breaker there for Futurama.
Semifinal A, it's a 5-0. It's a quick crush because BikeRushOwnz has to eat dinner. Ding, 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 that's the bell. Gotta go. Semifinal B couldn't be further from it. It's a 4-4. It's an ace match. We are going the distance to game number 9. And Nohaev finally does it, killing those Harvesters time and time and time and time again, even though it's 13 minutes into the game, still gets him that win. Those last 2 or 3 avatars being the critical breaking point for that battle. 8 harvesters still on the map for Hoxaeb. When you're long distance mining, when you have suboptimal harvester routes, controlling the blue Tiberium and having bonus extra harvesters that you wouldn't normally need, that is what saves the game. And now Futurama is up against it, both players at match point, but Futurama gets the final map choice. 8 maps, all of the most popular maps, have already been eliminated from this pool. Toxicity and Atacama Road are the 2 that come to mind as places that Futurama might want to go.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting with the map choice here. He switches
Tiki
to
Turmoil.
Tiki.
That's the other one.
Stick with the map, though.
Tiki Turmoil is extremely popular. It's another map that I love and players seem to love as well.
Yeah, I think it's the best of the technique maps that was made. It's the most refined. It's got some unusual features, but they just work out pretty fantastic. And is that a Zocom switch for Futurama? Is he actually going to go Zocom into this last game here? It'll be interesting to see if he sticks with this.
I am here for it. If we get a Zocom versus Blackhand in game number 9, both players rotating their factions around, and this is like the ultimate test for Hoxaeb, because sometimes you wait until that last game in the series to pull out the trickiest rush of all and to just say, you know what, everything is on the line. This is what they're not going to expect, and you hope that you can catch them off with it. So heading into game number 9, after this epic series, this back and forth, it could be all over in 4 minutes from now.
Yeah, I mean, the pressure's really on for both these players, right? Going into an ace match, I mean, it's going to be Scout City, right? Scout City, does anyone really have the nerve to do an all-in rush right now? That's the thing. This is going to be the last game for one of these 2 players in the entire tournament, right? So it's going to be really interesting to see the decisions that they're going to make, especially in the first couple of minutes. Actually going to switch Traveler 59 by the looks of things there, Sybert.
Boo! I was really looking forward to the Zocom. Okay, it's back to Nod. So they're doing the classic thing that players will do, where they try to go, if you're going to play Blackhand, well, I'm going to play Traveler. And then the other guy goes, well, if you're going to play Traveler, I'm going to play Nod. And then he goes, oh, well, if you're going to play Nod, I'm going to play GDI. And they chase each other around. Everyone has readied up a couple of times. Futurama maybe needs a minute, shake off the jitters, kind of reset a little bit here, and it looks like Traveler versus Nod is going to be our final match of this series on Tiki Turmoil.
I do like the Traveler pick for Futurama, either playing Traveler or Scrin. I think maybe into the Nod, I guess Traveler's probably a little bit better for him, I think. I mean, it's hard to say, right? Something we haven't seen from his Scrin gameplay is any Devastator warships come out. That could have been really helpful in that Rift game. If he had 1 or 2 devs on the top, they could have been sitting way back near the anti-air defenses and just like pummeling the infantry, and then we wouldn't have seen any of those heroic rocket squads, right? And that could have been a defining feature.
Oh, and then we're never going to start this game because these guys are just going to keep swapping factions on each other. Okay, we talked about Traveler versus Blackhand. We talked about Nod versus Zocom. And now we get to talk about GDI versus Blackhand. The most popular 2 factions in competitive play for so long. And yes, I know that I've said that many times. It has been a point of order, many points throughout this event, but we are going to say it one last time. Welcome to game number 9. It is time for Tiki Turmoil, and it is time to end it all. In the north, playing the Cyan GDI, this is the future. He is Futurama. In the south, coming from nowhere and ready to claim it all, this is Hoxaeb.
We've got a quad rifle open from Futurama as well, so he's going to make sure he's going to get that scout off. Even digging a premature foxhole in the middle, don't think that's too necessary. I guess maybe he's expecting to see a Cabal there. He's going to lose one of his squads on the left-hand side. Unfortunately, wasn't paying attention, ran smack bang into that Cabal squad.
Scouting, so incredibly important. The tournament series all tied up. Chrono Clash has provided the prize pool, and one of these players will go home with $150, and one of these players will keep their hopes alive of the $1,000 first place prize in that best of 11 versus BikeRushOwnz. So one of these players we're saying goodbye to, and one of them has an even tougher opponent waiting in the next round.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a standard eco build from both players, Sybert, so no one has the guts to put all their cards on the table in the opening few minutes, but maybe it's going to be a delayed all-in, maybe it's going to be a full one-base 5-2 all-in. We'll have to wait and see, but for the time being, it's just harvesters.
We've talked about it a little bit, but this map is a bit unique, and one of the unique features is that you have blue Tiberium that is in this kind of horseshoe shape, very close to where you start, but you expand away from it. And what that can mean is that as your main field dries up, some of those harvesters transfer over to this low ground pocket of blue Tiberium. And it can also be a death trap because there's one entrance, one exit there. That can be where your opponent sends their bike buggy to smash those blue Tiberium harvesters 1, 2, or 3 at a time.
Yeah, when I first saw this map and I saw the shape of the blue tip fields, I definitely screwed my nose up. I'm like, what is this? This is a joke. But then, of course, as time goes on, you realize it's actually really intelligent because to get to the blue tip field, you're expanding the opposite direction. So there's this open field to get to the cavity. And then if you get to the cavity, you can defend in there pretty well, but then you can get trapped in there. So there's a lot to think about when it comes to the blue tip field, and it's really well balanced, really well thought out, and it provides, yeah, some pretty interesting situations. But we're going to have a push here from Futurama.
Couple of APCs with rockets and a couple of pit bulls back in the base of Futurama. There is a Cabal squad trying to tear down a power plant, and every little bit helps. Futurama, instead of spending more cash on units, he's having to spend a little bit of cash repairing that power plant, but that's better than losing the power plant to a random Cabal squad and having to rebuild it.
Yeah, look at all the units he's forced out of Hoxaeb here. Basically, he never actually followed through with the push, and a lot of Scorps, a lot of infantry forced out, and that's going to slow down the second refinery here. Although it's still going to be a little bit ahead of Futurama's, but I think has Futurama gone for blue tip? No, he's sending a harvester there now. Quite surprised he didn't send one a little bit earlier.
Overall, Futurama has kept a one refinery advantage, or excuse me, a one harvester advantage throughout most of this game. It is now 9-8. Before that, it was 8-7, and before that, it was 7-6. So those additional units from Hoxaeb have slowed him down. Both players, I feel like, playing very cautiously. This strike on the Tiberium spike might be the first real fight of the game that Hoxaeb is going to win handedly.
I think he's going to win it because spikes, they don't fight back, Sybert. But yeah, both players taking their blue tip. Although, oh no, I was going to say there are Scorpion tanks covering the approach there. So no one, like you said, yeah, no one wants to commit to an engagement here. Futurama just pulling back once again. He's got a couple of Preds here. That's definitely going to bolster his forces because he does have rockets in the APCs, remember.
It is all tiptoeing around. It is all built up to something actually happening. There's going to be the Orca strike signaling the existence of the command post and the airfield. It's going to get lucky and spot this flame tank. There was a scout earlier in the game that got killed by a shredder turret, and as a result, he had the vision to call in on the upgraded power plant, that Orca strike, but getting lucky, seeing the flame tank cross that spot as well. AP ammo is almost done. Tier 3 is up for Futurama. He's sitting comfortable on those 9 harvesters for a while, and Tib spikes can sometimes keep a player in a game when they are almost dead, but now neither player has that option.
Yeah, a lot of flame tanks coming out.
Yeah, 3 flame tanks, one in the middle, one on the right, and one on the left. The first one gets caught and killed by those hammerheads. Laser fence on that refinery to keep it safe. 2 more flame tanks still roaming around.
Yeah, I like the Hammerheads versus Blackhand. One of my favorite units to use against Blackhand. He's going to get the Flame Tank in the middle, and he's actually got 2 MCVs. One's already pushing the third base with a Reclamator hub drop. He's just got to watch out. There's one more Flame Tank in the north. The Hammerheads should be able to respond to it pretty quickly. Assuming he spots it, surely he's going to spot it momentarily. Yeah, here we go. He's going to spot it. Sonic Emitter is going to drop down, so this should actually prevent the loss of any structure. So all the Flame Tanks are now dead. And it looks like Hoxaeb will do some type of push on the expansion. There's actually nothing here. He's going to have to pull his Hammerheads back here for sure. Yeah, he realizes it now. Marv should be fine on the left flank by itself for now. See if this materializes into anything.
There's a big fight brewing on the right, and both players are a little bit tepid to engage. They're not sure if they actually want to commit to it. Orca Strike coming in. It's close because it's coming in from the edge of the map, so it actually does tag some of those rockets. Mantis is going to get jumped on, trades back for 2 of those Hammerheads. Juggernaut is a little bit too close to this army, closer than he would like. That's 2 Harvesters down because they haven't been pulled back, and a 3rd Harvester is taking so much damage, he's going to go down as well. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, it's going to be Obelisks versus Sonic Emitters. It's going to be Watchtowers versus everything, and Purifying Flame just got purchased. So if these units get up close and personal, they're going to burn down that base, and they're going to burn down this Sonic Emitter. The Obelisk firing what shots he can, but that's an awkward fight on the left, and it's, I guess, a win for Nod on the right.
Yeah, interesting play out there. Looks like, I mean, Futurama does hold the right flank, but he lost a lot of Harvesters, remember, so he's very heavily reliant on this Marv now. He's probably going to lose this MCV. I'm not sure if he can take out both of these Obelisks before the Marv can actually get into position. I'm not sure I like the Purified choice from Hoxaeb here. They're not going to be very good against the Marv, and they're very expensive. Just remembering that he does have a little bit of Tib left, but still, this Marv is very powerful, and it's going to take quite a bit of an effort to push him back. I think Futurama could just circle around and Marvis the field from here, and he would be perfectly fine.
He's trying to decide how much he wants to commit into this fight. Both players with very low army value. Over the course of this game, they have fought most of their armies out of existence. They've been harvesting away that blue Tiberium to try to sneak as much cash as they can, but this might be the straw that breaks the camel's back. While Futurama is focused on the left side defending and attacking, there's a Flame Tank moving in with Purifying Flame. He's going to spot the MCV moving, and this Hammerhead catches it out in the open far enough away that it'll do no damage.
Yeah, gets the Flame Tank here, and he decided not to commit his Marv to the Marvis. I guess he doesn't want to risk it. He might have been able to do it. There's only 3 Purifiers. He could have fought them off. A little bit of infantry there. He's now going to use the Hammerheads to try to thin it out. He's got to watch out Tibcore Bike. That will do a lot of damage, and he gets away without losing a Hammerhead. That's nice. He can't afford to have those reset for a second time, Sybert.
He really needs to pull those Hammerheads further back. They're just sitting there kind of out in the open with 2 of them extremely low on HP. Okay, the Purifier's moving forward. Keep in mind, Purifying Flame means that as soon as these Flame units close in with the base, it is done. It is torched worse than any marshmallow you can imagine. And a Juggernaut getting picked off by 3 bikes. Tib Core means little attack groups like this can do big damage.
Yeah, I mean, again, losing all those Harvesters from before as well is really crippling Futurama because, I mean, he's out of Tib, he's long-range mining, he doesn't have that much stuff, he just lost another Hammerhead, he really can't afford to lose any more. It's just the Marv and some Hammerheads, and Hoxaeb has a ref down on the 3rd base, so he's actually not looking too bad. I'd say he is in the better position right now.
Futurama needed to Marvis that field 3 minutes ago to be even with Hoxaeb. Right now, Hoxaeb is up 10k, 12k even, total resources gathered, and a lot of that is present in this army. 25k of army out on the map for Hoxaeb, 15k out on the map for Futurama, and it's pretty much all Hammerheads and Marvs. Hoxaeb is splitting more bikes off down in the south while this force moves in the north. It's only a couple of Juggernauts here, and the Hammerheads are free firing on that infantry. That's a big mistake by Hoxaeb, giving so much time for those Hammerheads to free fire. The Orcas as well find some damage, and the Harvesters are getting knocked down at the 3rd of Futurama. That's 2 dead Harvs with 2 more exposed and unprotected.
Yeah, and I'm not sure Hoxaeb actually backed his bikes out there. He didn't need to do that. I think he was trying to micro something else at the same time. Actually pulling his whole army back from the mob, which is still quite healthy. But yeah, he can go in and continue to kill harvesters here. I'm not sure if he's going to get another one. There's 2 towers here now. Predator tank responds here. He should be able to get one more, and then that should be the end of it. But, oh no, he switched targets. That is going to result in both those harvesters surviving.
But what's not going to survive, if these EMP coils have anything to say about it, is this Marv. The damage pours in. That's a that's a blank EMP, but the GG comes out, and in one short moment, Hoxaeb takes it. Game number 9, the underdog rises to crush the world of tomorrow. Futurama versus Bike Rush is the finals of your tournament, Green Zero, but it's not the finals of this tournament. History will not repeat itself, and Hoxaeb is here to kill the old guard.
Yeah, what an interesting result that we had here. So yeah, he's actually done it. He's actually taken down Futurama. And I mean, this is a player who has been for the last 2 years playing mid-only tournaments. And now he's here just knocking off like not just Futurama, but Phoenix and a few others as well. But yeah, I was quite surprised that it went all the way to 9 games. And he actually manages to win it at the end as well. I just feel for Futurama. I feel that he could have... Like, it was his series to close out earlier. He wasn't able to do it. And yeah, I was quite surprised just how well Hoxaeb actually played at the end there. And I mean, yeah, he made the decisions he needed to make. And look at that. He's come through. He's won the series and he's going to go to the grand final.